Good morning. Another blow for Labour.
Less than 14 months after winning a landslide victory, polling now suggests 72% of the public thinks Sir Keir Starmer's government is as chaotic as the previous Conservative one.
But the drama over Rachel Reeves and the welfare bill has undermined trust in the Labour Party and given the PM his lowest approval rating, according to recent data.
And a mega poll of 10,000 reveals that if an election were held tomorrow, Nigel Farage's Reform Party would win 290 seats and top cabinet ministers would be out of a job.
So is it too late for Labour to turn things around?
Tech tycoon and the world's richest man, Elon Musk, has announced that he's actually launching a new political party, weeks after his public rift with President Donald Trump.
Fairly wrong. We really don't know at the moment. It's loud bangs.
Tomorrow marks 20 years since the 7/7 bombings, a day when London changed forever. We'll reflect on that throughout the programme.
And at least 43 people, including 15 children, are confirmed dead, with dozens still missing as the flash flooding hit Texas.
Now, is funding the arts a waste of money? That's our debate this morning after the King's Foundation launched a programme to teach students the art of costume making.
And would you pay to spend a penny? Or should it be free? Well, one councillor in North Yorkshire is opposing plans to charge people 40p to use council-owned public loos.
Good morning. The Lionesses began their defence of the Euros with an opening night defeat against France in Switzerland. And Cam Norrie and Sonny Coltell are flying the flag for the Brits at Wimbledon, and at Silverstone, Max Verstappen is on pole for the British Grand Prix.
There are thunderstorms in the forecast today. They may even affect Wimbledon. Join me later for the full details.
Yeah. Just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Just trying to remember what the psychic goat said yesterday about the football.
Well, it was a bit inconclusive, wasn't it?
There was a VAR check on one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I seem to think it said England was going to win against France, but
Really?
I'm not sure.
Okay. The goat can be
Can we get that tape out and have a
If it's
look?
wrong, then the goat will have to put it out to graze.
Yes, I think I will, because the goat should be held to account.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. These things are important to get right, aren't they?
Yes, can't quite... Or maybe... Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to check.
We'll check.
Because I'm just not entirely sure.
Sloppy of me not to have checked, really.
Yeah, we should have checked.
Do you know what is the thing that the Wimbledon players, class Wimbledon players,
I know the answer
top
to this.
champions, nick from Wimbledon every year? What do you think they steal, take home with them?
I don't know.
Towels.
Oh.
Because apparently every year there's the usual green and blue Wimbledon coloured towel, but also every year the towel makers they make a sort of special one for that year as well. So there's two sets of towels that you'd want if you could, and the players all nick them and actually admit they do. In fact, Djokovic takes a spare suitcase to Wimbledon with him. Just for the towels. Because he said they make lovely gifts. People love them.
He's worth about £130 million. He should be able to
Oh,
afford
your own towels.
He should
And
be able to afford the
Raducanu
luggage
admitted
payment.
that she's done the same. They all do it, apparently. It's sort of well known. So there you go. And there is an astonishing figure on it as well. Let me see, where did I put it? I've ripped bits out of newspapers now. Hang on. This is my filing system. Right, here we go. There's an astonishing number of 500 a day are not returned. Wow. Every day they wheel out these towels.
No wonder the ticket prices are so high.
Well, exactly. They keep 7,000 towels in stock to hand out to players, which they use, obviously on hot days or even to, get the rain off and things like that. By the end of Thursday, for instance, this Thursday, the staff had handed out 2,799 towels to the players, but only 500 came back. So that 2/3 of the towels had been nicked already.
Well, they're about 30, 40 quid in the shop.
You can buy them in the shop.
You can, yeah. And they're different every year because they have the year update.
That's right, but clearly the players just prefer to take them home by the suitcase load.
Right. Should we see what the goat said yesterday about the football? Let's have a look.
Right,
Here we go.
Yeah.
This is I can't remember.
The goat was choosing between...
England and France.
Yeah.
Oh, it went for France.
No, but it didn't
hang
stay
on.
there.
It
Yes, it
did.
did.
Yes, it did.
Oh, it did.
On this one. Yeah, so it was right.
Wow.
So the goat was right.
What
take
did
it
I
back.
predict?
Well, I think we need an exclusive interview with that goat.
I think I might have. I think I might have
Yeah,
said England.
the goat was right.
Yeah.
Get the goat in to do the sport.
Psychic, well, a psychic goat is going to be better.
Did we ask the goat to predict the outcome of the next general election?
Might be a bit soon.
Yeah, do you think?
So Russo might not be alive at the time of the next general election. I don't know how long goats live.
I'll check that out.
Yes,
Yes, please do. Yeah.
Anyway, so there you go. The goat was right.
Good.
We'll have analysis from Jack
Doesn't
Carson
that make
later.
you feel better about life in general?
It does. Were you right with your voting a year ago? Because a year after securing a landslide victory, polling indicates that 72% of the public, that's you and me, thinks Sir Keir Starmer's government is as chaotic as the previous Conservative one.
The drama surrounding Rachel Reeves, of course, and the welfare bill seems to have resulted in the Prime Minister receiving his lowest approval rating yet.
Additionally, recent polling reveals that if an election were held tomorrow, Reform UK would get 290 seats, not enough for an outright majority yet, leaving top cabinet ministers without a job. So, can Labour turn things around in the next 4 years?
Well, there's quite a few years to do it.
It is.
But,
It is,
yeah,
to be fair.
political commentator John Oxley joins us now. It's just one nightmare after another for this government, isn't it?
It's not been a vintage year for a government that's only 12 months into power. You know, you've had the rows this week about benefits. You had, they lost a seat because one of their MPs punched someone. Let's not forget that. And all the other sort of issues that have seemed to have beleaguered this government. But as you say, there is a lot of time left, and there are options for turning it around.
Yeah, the problem is, though, which when you look at... I mean, this is in the People and the Mirror this morning, left-leaning papers. Keir's wake-up call. Do you think Keir Starmer shares your values? Not much, says 63%.
That's in the Mirror.
Do you feel Labour is focusing on the right things? Mostly wrong, 46%. Thinking about the U-turns, what do you most agree with? The government is listening, 19%. It lacks the courage of its convictions, 37%. I mean, none of this is good reading.
No, none of it is. And, there have been lots of challenges for the Labour government since they came in. But I think there's a real sense that they've not taken the public with them. They've not convinced people to have the confidence in what they're doing. At the start of the year, they were sort of saying this is going to be difficult, but we do have a plan and it's going to pay off. And I think a lot of people have seen the pain, but they've not really got the sense that that it's going to pay off. Or indeed, as we've seen in recent weeks, that Labour are going to stick with the decisions they made in the first place.
It just seems to underline, doesn't it, the fact that they didn't win the last election. It was the Tories that lost it. But they could... I mean, if there were an election now, they would lose it too.
Quite possibly, yes.
Which makes you all wonder, I mean, us voters, who are we meant to vote for? Where is the government in waiting?
Well, according to this survey... Who is the biggest electoral threat to Labour Party? Kemi Badenoch and the Conservatives, 6%. Nigel Farage and Reform UK, 60%.
And that's definitely what the polling is suggesting. The Conservatives, aren't even talking about how bad their year's gone. They've fallen from their worst position ever, and they've lost about another 8% since then. And it really is Reform that's in the ascendancy. But again, the question is, can that be carried through? Will that stack up when the real scrutiny of an election comes, and will that be sustained through the next 4 years?
And can they possibly get enough credible candidates together in time to get 290 seats or whatever? Can they do it in time?
And that's a real challenge for any political party. I always say that the biggest danger you have of new political parties is you get people who often are very, very keen on politics but have already fallen out with the other parties, and it's generally because a lot of them are quite odd individuals. And if you're not careful about how you vet people, you end up being this collection of people who, have all sorts of things lurking in their closet, as we're seeing at the moment already about some of the Reform candidates, councillors and indeed MPs.
Yes, I mean, they're already down to four MPs under the whip anyway, aren't they?
Yes.
And we don't know what will happen next.
And that's three, they were elected with 5 a year ago. they've lost 2 now and gained 1. So,
Is it possible to get that many credible candidates together in time? It's just a mountain to climb.
I mean, no one's ever had to do it in the past before. We've never seen a party, surge from almost nothing to, being on the brink of forming a government. That's the challenge. Can they do it when no one else has really ever had to before?
Yeah. Well, you never say never, do you, at this stage? You just don't know because they've got the momentum behind them. John, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you a little bit later on.
They've certainly got support behind them, haven't they? I mean, there are a lot of people absolutely hungry for a reform government.
I tell you what is interesting, though, is the number of people I talk to who maybe not are totally convinced by everything that reform has to offer, or perhaps that they've got the experience or the gravitas for it all, but they just say, well, we may as well give them a try. We don't trust anybody else, so we may as well try them.
Yeah.
And that's where we've got to now. So it's not even about it's about the Conservatives lost the last election, and Labour have lost government.
Yeah, they're losing government.
So it's like, well, let's try another one.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
There's no way to run a chip shop, as somebody would say.
Yeah.
But maybe it's the only way. And they're facing similar problems in America now, aren't they? Because Elon Musk says he's going to launch a new political party just weeks after he was best friends with Donald Trump, and then they fell out.
Yes, he claims that he's established the America Party. Well, it's a good name, at least. He asked his followers if he should do so. He did an online poll on X.
So should Donald Trump be worried? I mean, he's not exactly having a great time either, is he?
No.
Let's join US and international politics at the Clinton Institute at University College Dublin. Scott Lucas. Scott, is there any credence at all? Is there any possibility that Elon Musk will actually be a threat to the status quo in America?
Well, we will see, because it's one thing to declare that you were starting a political party. Of course, as we've seen in the UK, as you've just been talking about, it's another thing to actually do that. It's another thing to actually begin to organize the candidates, to begin to fund the candidates, to bring in all the support staff that you need to run campaigns. And there's a very tight timeline for Musk to do this if he wants to, because you know that American MPs in the lower house, the House of Representatives, they're on 2-year cycles. So they come up for re-election in November 2026. The upper chamber, the Senate, 1/3 of them come up for election at that time. And those campaigns have already started. So it will be a test of how much of this is rhetoric from Musk and how much of this is his ability to mobilize staff, to mobilize people. Now, he has said that he's not going to challenge every congressional seat. He said he's going to target particularly seats. And as we noted with Trump's bill last week, the one with the sweeping tax cuts for the wealthy, for the massive cuts in services for the not so wealthy, and with the further crackdown on migrants, he only got that bill through on a tie-breaking vote in the Senate and by a few votes in the House. So if Musk did get a few people in to defeat Trumpists in the Republican primaries next year, it could make a big difference in Trump's ability to rule. But we're in a wait and see moment right now. There'll be a lot of chatter today, and it's really where we are, say, a week, 2 weeks, a month from now in terms of how much Musk actually does to put this into action.
Is, of course, when you're talking Musk, that he does have the money and the influence and everything else to actually get this going more than practically anybody else in the world. Now, the problem you've got, I mean, ultimately, when these parties start, what they want the top job, they want to be in the White House, they want to be running things. The one thing we know is Elon Musk can't be president. So who would run the party?
Well, that's also going to be an interesting question. But again, it's sort of a headline thing that we're talking about the presidency in 2028, because, the American Congress is, although Trump has tried to stop this, it is an equal branch of government. So if you can get control of Congress, or if you at least can split Congress, into 3 different parties, it completely changes the dynamic of American power. So I don't think at this point we're talking about Elon Musk for president. That's not the key story here. It's going to be, can he get those 4 or 5 senators, those 4 or 5 representatives elected who happen to be U.S. citizens?
And would he be after defectors from the other parties, or would he make a point of wanting entirely new sort of people? Because then he falls into the same trap that Reform are finding quite hard, which are that you're recruiting people who aren't already experienced in politics, maybe experienced in business or something else, but they tend to be slightly quirky characters, don't they?
Yeah, I think Musk's first target is going to be those within the Trump camp and those Republicans who don't like Trump. This has been building for weeks, and that Musk has really made 2 major arguments that put him in line with some Republicans. The first is that Trump's bill massively swells the government debt. It increases the government debt by about $3.3 trillion over the next decade. That adds to a $36 trillion, that's with a T, debt that the U.S. already has. And secondly, Musk says, well, if you are going to be spending money, you should be spending money for supporting renewable energies. Now, let's be honest, that includes some renewable energies that Musk has invested in. But his wider point is this is what China's doing. Now, there are some Republicans who are sympathetic to both those arguments, even though they sort of caved with a couple of exceptions when it came to the vote last week. So I think you're looking, first of all, at disaffected Republicans or worried Republicans who are in there, some of whom do have experience, rather than looking at Democrats or, quote, quirky characters.
Well, it's good to know that the chaos isn't just on this side of the pond. Scott, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
But it is crazy how chaotic politics is at the moment. We deserve better, don't we?
A little bit of stability would be nice. But, yeah. Maybe it was always like this. We just look back with rose-tinted glasses on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right.
Do let us know, though. Love to hear your views. Should we find out about the weather?
Yes, please.
Apparently we're going to get another heat wave, but not today.
Oh, good.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. It is quite a muggy start out there for this second half of the weekend. A reasonable amount of cloud around as well, all being driven in by this area of low pressure. A few fronts to watch out for, particularly this one we've got our eyes on, could provide some quite intense bursts of rain first thing this morning around the Humber and the Wash. It will tend to break up into more scattered showers as it drifts southeastwards, and some of those could turn thundery with some hail around at times as well, so it's worth taking care across those eastern areas of England. A scattering of showers coming in elsewhere, being brought in by a brisk northwesterly wind, and so it is going to make it feel quite cool out there for some of us, particularly across parts of Scotland where temperatures will be climbing around 15-16 degrees Celsius. But the sunshine should hopefully start breaking through a touch more here into the afternoon. Again, potential for some brighter spells arriving into Northern Ireland later on, but the bulk of England and Wales are likely to hold on to a good amount of cloud as we head throughout much of Sunday. But a touch more warmth here will allow those temperatures to peak around 24 degrees Celsius in the southeast. We'll start to see more on those showers drifting their way southwards, so some further pulses of rain pushing in across England and Wales throughout the evening and overnight. Otherwise, some clear spells developing, and with that northwesterly wind filtering in some fresher conditions, tonight should hopefully be a touch more comfortable for sleeping. Many of us seeing temperatures drop down to 10 to 14 degrees Celsius. Some early rain to contend with then across areas in the south, but that will eventually clear its way off. Some scattered showers just pushing in across North Sea coastal regions and well for the far northwest of Scotland. But for Wales, western areas of England will hopefully see the sunshine breaking in a lot more as we head into the afternoon. It should dry up quite nicely. If you manage to see that sunshine, temperatures not too bad, 20-23 degrees Celsius, but it is still going to be a breezy day out there, and that will certainly affect the feel of things if you're caught in it. The sunshine, though, should turn more widespread for many of us, and temperatures are set to climb. Enjoy your day.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, don't miss a very special programme this afternoon.
Yes, indeed. It's with Eamon Holmes, so it's called Sunday with Eamon. There you go. It's today from 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now, we're going to discuss in the next few minutes, would you pay to spend a penny, as it were?
Well, it's
Or should it be free? That's why
spending a penny.
Exactly, that's why it always used to be. But you don't expect to have to pay for it nowadays. I remember when there was a big scandal when Harrods decided to charge £1.
Oh, £1.
But their loos were quite posh.
Yeah.
I mean, they were worth £1, but I don't know what you do now. Anyway, that's the big news story of the day. Should you pay to spend a penny? GB News reporter Anna Riley has been looking into this, and we await her report next.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
6:23 now. Would you pay to pee or should it be free?
Well, one councillor in North Yorkshire is opposing plans to charge people 40p to use council-owned public toilets in Malton.
It's not a very convenient figure.
No, that's what I was saying. 50p would be much easier.
50p would be better, or 20p. Anyway, Anna Riley has all the details.
Free to pee. That's the campaign of North Yorkshire councillor Keane Duncan. It comes as Malton Town Council plan to install card machines to pay for the public toilets.
There is the old phrase to spend a penny, but here in Malton you'll have to spend 40 pennies to access what I consider to be a basic and fundamental right. There's been a lot of secrecy around the decision. What I think local people need is openness, transparency, genuine consultation. An important decision like this shouldn't be taken behind closed doors. It should be taken with the full involvement of local people. My hope is that the town mayor, that town councillors rethink this decision, reverse their plan, and that it remains free to pee here in Malton.
Shopkeepers along the Shambles don't have their own toilets and rely on the public ones here. One business is outraged and says charging would cost them an extra £20 a week.
Can't we use our own toilets? They've shut this toilet in Wentworth Street. They shut the one in Norton about 2 years ago. What's wrong? Why can't you use the toilet for free?
Malton's known as Yorkshire's food capital. With thousands of tourists every year, the toilets are used by locals and visitors alike. But would they pay 40p to pee?
You actually pay enough with your council taxes, you know, all sorts of things like that, to actually pay 40p as well. You know, they're trying to bring people to the town and they won't.
I mean, they can charge something, but I think 40 is a bit strong.
Needing the loo and the facilities is a fundamental fact of being human, and to pay for it just doesn't feel like the right thing to do.
I think it's a bit much, really. I don't think you should be charged to use the toilet.
Yeah, I would pay, because you have to pay, don't you? I mean, if someone needs to go to the toilet, he needs to go to the toilet, like I do now.
Malton Town Council declined to comment, but there are many here hoping for them to flush the lavatory cost away. Anna Riley, GB News.
It's funny that, because it seems like a sort of trivial concern, except that it's not. And you think, why? I mean, in the olden days, you used to have public loos, but then you had somebody paid by the council to keep them clean and nice, didn't you?
Well, yes, but you did have to pay. You had to pay. You always had to pay. And I know it's a bit controversial. I know it's nice to say, well, yes, let's just be able to use them. But actually, costs the councils a lot of money. Therefore, it costs us a lot of money. So therefore, get people to pay for it. And then get people to pay for it, keep them nice, and then it should... it won't reduce your council tax, will it? Let's be realistic. But it might be spent on better stuff.
Yeah, you said keep them nice, though. You see, who keeps them nice?
Well, I mean, they will
Somebody
have
has
cleaners.
to be paid to, yeah, exactly.
But they'll have those anyway. I mean, there's got to be cleaners go around once a day or something.
But, I mean, that was interesting for all of those local shopkeepers. They haven't got loos in their own shops. So they've got to be... I mean, they're spending a working day there. They've got to be able to use the loo.
Well, they might be able to have credits or... I mean, but is it the council's responsibility to provide them with a toilet if they haven't got a toilet in their own establishment?
I don't know, but it just shows that it's actually quite a complicated issue.
I actually think I come down on the side of the council and just think, why are we providing everything for free these days? This is why our bills are all going up, because everyone expects to get everything for nothing.
And it's one of these things that matters.
It does matter. It does matter.
And it matters to the pride of the local town or village that, you know, you've got decent loos.
But also, if they have as they do, they have loads of tourists who are going to, you know, use their card and spend 40p a time. It makes money, which therefore should reduce bills, or either for the locals, or means there's more money in the local pot to spend on what the locals want.
What do they do where you live? Love to hear.
Or do you ever use a public toilet? I mean, it's the last resort,
Well, a lot
isn't
of
it?
people see one lady was speaking outside the pub. A lot of people just pop into the pub.
Yeah.
Not the pubs are always open, but, you know, or you pop into a fast food shop or something like that, don't you? Anyway, there you go. It's just one of those basic things that it's only... This is what is delightful about parish councils. When you were a young reporter, did you ever pop along to the parish council? Yeah? These are the sort of things that really get people going in council. They have big debates over things like this.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating.
Well, it matters. It matters. Anyway, try and prove me wrong. If you want to argue again, I reluctantly think they should charge. If you think I'm wrong, love to hear from you. gbnews.com/yourself.
But what if you get caught short and you haven't got any change on you?
Well, they say card machines. They were saying card machines, so you just
Does
flash
everybody
your
have a card? I don't know.
I think most people do now.
OK.
Walk about with a card in their wallet.
Well, I tell you what, if you won our great British giveaway...
British giveaway.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to worry about that. You could buy your own golden loo. £54,321 is up for grabs in our latest Great British Giveaway. Here's how to take part.
The Great British Giveaway is now even greater, with your chance to win our biggest cash prize so far. A totally tax-free £54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Imagine what you could do with that. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck to you on that one. Don't go anywhere. Aidan's here with your sport in a moment.
I'm Camilla Tominey. This is GB News, Britain's election channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
And Tom, look what I received this morning.
This is so sweet. Oh!
Isn't that cute? From one of our viewers and listeners. A little, I think it's homemade.
Shall I hold it up?
Yeah, you hold it up. And a little tiny matching hat as well, which is very cute. Goes up here. So there you go, a little matching hat.
Look
and
at
also
that.
a lovely little blanket as well. Wow. This is from Judith from Leeds, who wrote me a lovely little letter, and to Patrick as well, wishing us well, saying that she loves watching our shows, and I hope we enjoy this little outfit. So there you go.
It's like your little baby is with us already.
So yes, Judith, I hope you're watching, because thank you very much indeed. It's really sweet of you to send that to me. It took a little while to get to us, but we've got it this morning, so that's so cute.
It's incredible craftsmanship, actually.
I'll make sure to take a little picture when the baby arrives.
Are you sure your baby isn't going to be French?
It's just something French around it. It's a good thing I like France, so there you go.
Oui, oui.
That's very cute indeed. I just thought I'd say thank you, because it was a really nice surprise this morning.
Yeah, no, it is actually really, really lovely. It does, I mean...
To bring a tear to your eye, Tom.
Well, we haven't really...
Feeling very emotional.
I was going to say... We haven't really mentioned, your pregnancy in a little while. And
after the big reveal.
You're still with us for a few months more before your due date.
I have to depart, yes.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you've got me for a little longer. We'll see how it goes.
Marvellous
See how
stuff.
it goes. It'll be rolling me in. Before I leave this desk.
It'll be a GB baby.
GB News baby. GB baby.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lionesses Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Paying to spend a penny has proved to be a controversial subject. Margaret says Eastbourne Council were going to close the toilets along the seafront. Local disapproval got them to backtrack, but at a cost of £1 by card only.
Yeah.
To use the loo.
A lot of people saying, several people saying 10p. Claire saying it's 10p. But what happened to spending a penny? Well, it's inflation for
Yeah,
it.
it is, isn't it? Jack says, I'm a toilet cleaner. I do 15 a day. One of them charges 40p. The council takes upward of 80% of that.
Well, yeah. But
that's what it's for, I suppose.
They've done away with payment at the mainline stations in London over the last 5 years or so.
Have they?
Yes, they have indeed. Yeah, I can't think of anywhere where charges now, and that's after 20-odd years of having to pay 10, 20p.
Yeah,
I went yesterday at Victoria, and it was free.
I mean...
It probably costs more to collect the change and to collect the money
or just
than to charge.
To staff the cubicles.
You see, Patrick says anything to scam people out of money. But I don't know if it's a scam.
You're paying for a service, aren't you?
Because Jack, this toilet cleaner, also says you've got to pay for toilet rolls, soap, bin bags, sanitary bags, gloves, fuel for me to travel around, insurance for me, water, electricity. Just costs.
Good point.
Jeffrey says, hi, Stephen and Anne, we have public toilets, which we don't have to pay for, in Evesham town centre.
Yeah. I mean, look, it'd be nice to have it all for free. I just think maybe some things you have to pay for.
You're talking rubbish, says Simon.
Well, fair enough.
That's what our council tax is for, he says.
Well, yeah, but
he's got a point.
Well, yes, yeah, but I mean, our council tax is going up and up and up. I mean, this is one of the things. If you want to pay less council tax, then you have to pay for things that you...
Yeah, you have to pay separately.
We're all paying for public toilets, even if we don't use them.
Linda says there are public toilets in Helmsley and Beverley which are spotlessly clean and well maintained, and they are free, but they ask for a voluntary donation.
Yes.
Yeah, how many people voluntarily donate?
Lee says 50p to pee in Grassmere.
Oh.
And it's contactless. Yes, I know those very toilets.
Do you?
I do. Always up in Grassmere. Sarah Nelson's shortbread, gingerbread. It's what you buy.
Sounds nice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you've got to buy a bit of Sarah Nelson's up in
Anyway,
Grassmere.
who knew that spending a penny was quite such a controversial subject? But there you are, it is. Aidan is here, as you saw. The Lionesses last night. Should we start with them?
Yeah, not the result they wanted, not the start they wanted, certainly. They were one of the pre-tournament favourites. They are the holders, of course, having beaten Germany 3 years ago at Wembley with that famous Chloe Kelly goal. The coach, Serena Wiegmann, is looking to win this tournament for the third time in a row. Don't forget she won it with Holland back in 2021. But as I say, they just did not get going last night. 2-0 down at half-time. Wiegmann said afterwards, we'll hear from her in a moment, but she said that the short passing game was letting them down. There was some lax defending. England didn't actually go on the score sheet until 3 minutes from the end. But let's hear from Serena now and hear what she had to say.
I'm very disappointed. I think we started well. We could have we created a chance in the first minute. Then we scored a goal. I thought it was a pretty good goal too. Unfortunately, disallowed. And I think after that we created. Of course, we know France was really good, but I think we created our own problems a little bit by playing short passes all the time, where they could full press. We were frustrated because, I had a bit too we had such 3 very good weeks, and we trained really well, but that's never a guarantee that, of course, you win the game.
Now, look, this is disappointing, but tournaments are not won and lost in the first game. But it does mean that there's pressure now on the Netherlands game on Wednesday, also in Zurich. They need a result from that one. It's a group of death because all the teams are strong. Wales lost to Netherlands yesterday by 3-0. I just think that it...
But we're going to win against the Netherlands. That's what the GOAT said.
Oh, yeah. Well, we need to verify. Do we know that for certain?
Yes, that's what the GOAT said.
Right, OK, fine. Well, we'll go with...
We'll lose against Ireland.
We'll go... No, Wales.
Wales.
Yeah, definitely didn't predict Ireland, surely.
No, Wales. Wales.
But look, I don't think it seems like a happy camp. I mean, we saw the late withdrawals, didn't we, from Millie Bright and Mary Earps, so close to the start of the tournament. I mean, I thought that could have been managed slightly better. And the overall standard is going to improve because, as with the men's game 50 years ago, it's harder to win the World Cup and the Euros now than it was back in the 60s, and with the growth of the game, it's going through that exponential improvement that we predicted, and it's going to get harder for England to win these tournaments, and they certainly didn't do themselves any favours yesterday in Zurich.
Meanwhile, on centre court in Wimbledon,
yes,
not only did Djokovic win and he's through to the next round, but I didn't realise it's his 100th win on that court.
And he's in great company. Martina Navratilova and Roger Federer are the only 2 players to have achieved that. And he looked comfortable yesterday against his countryman Kecmanovic, didn't he? I mean, he almost looked like... I always think that if you've grown up in the same country as Djokovic, I mean, he almost seemed in awe, didn't he?
Yes, they're obviously great mates.
Yes, they are. They are. And he didn't seem to get... Well, he broke the serve very late in the match. It was almost elementary, really, or academic, I would say. But, he's safely through to the next round. And again, we look at Sinner and Alcaraz, who are both still doing great things in the tournament. I wouldn't want to face him late on, deep into that tournament. But some great British interest as well.
Yeah,
today.
we've got Sonny Cartel, who we now know.
She's first out of the blocks in centre court today at 1:30 against Pavlyuchenkova.
That's right. I've got to practice her name. What's her name?
Pavlyuchenkova.
Pavlyuchenkova.
Yeah,
right.
There's a player for Tottenham called Pavlyuchenko, so I just think
It's
stick a VA
the
on
female
the
version of it, almost, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
That'll be quite a match.
Smallest player in the tournament,
5'4".
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's interesting in the women's side of the draw is that the top 16 seeds get the plush dressing rooms.
I would hope so.
Sean Connery there, isn't it?
Yeah.
The top 16 get the top dressing rooms, and now there's hardly any seats left, so the dressing rooms are empty.
Oh, yeah. Not move people up.
They don't do it, apparently.
They don't promote.
They don't.
Well, that's
They
a shame.
should.
Just try and be a seed. That's what. Cam Norrie's on court today as well, on court 1
Yes,
against
that's good.
Jerry.
Yeah. That's his favourite court, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. Let me have a look. I've got it here somewhere. Nicholas Jerry.
It's a good luck thing with him, isn't it? He's always done well on court 1, so he likes.
He's good at mobilising the crowd. That's what he's good at.
As long as he's good at hitting the ball.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what matters more.
We've got Silverstone Grand Prix as well. We'll discuss that next hour.
Lovely stuff. All right, Aidan, thanks very much indeed. Right, we've got the papers coming up for you. Emma Wolf and Chris Worrell in just a moment. There they are. First, so, if you want a bit of holiday sun somewhere other than the UK, here's the forecast for the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The fresh northwesterly winds that are currently across the UK are also beginning to spread into other areas of Western Europe and helping to ease the heat wave that they've had here recently. Still, though, there are plenty of heavy showers and thunderstorms here, particularly across parts of Iberia, the Alps and towards the Balkans. The heat, though, is getting squeezed towards eastern areas of continental Europe, and so here temperatures are still going to be notably above average as we head over the next few days, but with some sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. Britain's News Channel.
News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here
we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, at 6:44, shall we see what's in the news with political commentator Emma Wolfe and Labour activist Chris Worrell. Good morning to you both. Emma, let's start with the Sunday Times. Plans to shelve the two-child benefit cap are dead, apparently.
Yeah, well, obviously this week, amongst tears and all sorts of scenes in the House of Commons, we saw the humiliating U-turn by Keir Starmer on his big welfare plans, he and Liz Kendall's big welfare plans. This has basically blown a £5 billion, another black hole, a £5 billion hole into their economic plans going forward, into the national finances, basically. So now they're saying, well, the likelihood of being able to end that, to axe the limit, the two-child benefit cap limit, is vanishingly thin.
Well, I mean,
you rebel against us, we can't give you what you want. So
it's a fair point, isn't it?
It is a fair point because the numbers have to add up, and axing the two-child benefit cap was going to cost around £3.4 billion. They've now got this £5 billion black hole. But you do kind of think, well, the government is basically not weaponising, but there's a lot of families, a lot of children, a lot of people who are going to suffer because of this, because they really didn't get their welfare reforms in order. Keir Starmer himself admits that he was abroad and he wasn't.
They didn't think it through, did they? They didn't think that actually a lot of people, our own people, are not going to like this. You'd think they'd have done a risk assessment.
I mean, look, there's obviously splits in the Labour Party on this. I think, those backbenchers need to remember it's the Labour Party and not the Welfare Party.
But they're not remembering it, are they?
Well, I think the bond markets reminded everyone the other day when, we saw Rachel Reeves shed a tear, but the fact still remains that the bond markets have confidence in her, and I think they're talking about backbenchers owning the welfare benefits that they defended the other day with the
maybe they'll all pile off to the new Pride and Joy party or whatever it is.
The Jeremy party.
Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Corbyn party.
That would be interesting.
That would be a party.
Noah Sultana, the old fruit and nut party when Corbyn gets in there. But it's about fairness, not facility at the end of the day, and we've got to make sure that the government's not banning people having third kids. But when everyone's getting squeezed, realistically, I think many on the Labour right will be. It's polls popular with Labour members too, keeping the cap. So I think it's a bit of a nothing.
Meanwhile, on the Telegraph front page, you've sought out that story about the fact that the Tories are now saying that everybody's talking about welfare at the moment, aren't they? And the Tories are now saying to reduce the cost of Britain's welfare bill, foreigners should be barred from claiming disability benefits. So you have to be homegrown if you want to claim any benefits.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. If you look internationally, Japan's got a citizens' first approach, all passed through their Supreme Court. And I think in France, Macron's had to sort of step around Le Pen's national preference. So, I actually personally welcome some of the calls from the Tories there. But Labour have got a huge problem with PIP. The IFS report said that there's a lot of claims going ahead out of kilter with people having benefits. So, I think this might be a way that they can get some of these other things through as well if they go jump in bed with it.
Yeah, look, I think this would be popular. What Kemi Badenoch is saying would be popular, but I think it needs to be clear. Does she mean foreign nationals who've lived in this country and worked in this country for decades and contributed, or does she mean illegal immigrants who can't come in and claim benefits? And you're right, there's a much bigger conversation, though, on both these to be had around the welfare. The ballooning, I mean, billions and billions and billions of pounds a year. The fact that people can claim mental health issues, acne, writer's cramp. I have writer's cramp, for goodness sake. I mean,
ADHD.
Well, but ADHD can be a real thing, and it can just be another label that you slap on your children and you get more money. So the definition of what is, what makes you eligible for personal independence for the sickness element of universal credit is expanding and expanding, and it can't go on expanding. We've all had days where we feel anxious or depressed, or we've got a spot. We don't claim,
only free money. And I think in France they have, non-working migrants, 5-year ban. If you're working, 2.5 years. So it seems sensible to me.
Do you know what? Can I be really controversial? It's when you see these signs that say not every disability is visible. And I sort of think, I don't think I agree with that.
I mean, look, if you've got IBS or you've got incontinence, that's not visible, but you might need a car somewhere quickly.
Is that a disability that would require... Well, yes. I mean, look, on things like that, yeah, maybe, yeah. But for a lot of things and all this mental health stuff, I don't know that it's...
And I don't think it does people any favours. We all know the best thing for good mental health is to get up every day and do something meaningful, whether that's work or volunteering or whatever.
There are too many people who want to say, I've got a problem.
But we have turned into a society where everybody seems to be a victim of something.
Yeah. If you can earn 100 grand at the minute and claim PIP for lupus, I mean, if you're earning all right, you don't need these benefits. I think it's my personal opinion. I think they should be going further in Labour, but I'm hoping that they've had a bit of a wake-up call last week.
Right.
But I think it needs to be clear that anybody with a disability, anyone who is struggling to, wash themselves below the waist and this kind of thing, they should absolutely be getting the help and support that they need.
This is the thing, but then you can...
But many of them would like to work if they could work.
But you should properly fund those people who actually need the help.
And proper assessment, because they've got to get back to face-to-face meetings. At the moment, you can do all this stuff online, you can have a few phone calls, and suddenly you're on a couple of £1,000s a month.
Britain's become a bit of a benefits buffet when it comes to this stuff, particularly around, mental health and if you've got serious depression or serious autism and, people need the help like that. But, these are just sort of a lot of young 18, 19-year-olds claiming, depression and stuff. I don't see how free money's going to help it.
No,
and it's this concept we seem to have encouraged over the last 20, 30 years that the government owes you a living.
Yeah.
The world owes you a living, and it's not the case.
Especially amongst the young, it gets you trapped into a sort of lifetime of being on welfare because you can actually get a lot more rather than work.
Well, there are websites that tell you how to do it.
I saw an article with someone on a well-known website, and she was complaining that how could she cope if she lost her PIP? She was working as an airline steward.
So you're working. I mean, that's the thing.
She's working.
She's working, and
on
she's
an airline
PIP.
steward, which is a safety role for other people, but she's still able to claim PIP.
And wasn't the idea of universal credit from Ian Duncan Smith that you would be able to work and not lose all your benefits? So it should be that she could do work and if she needed a bit of help. I think that was the original idea, and it's just spiralled out of control.
It really has.
It has. Meanwhile, while it's political chaos over here, Emma, Elon Musk is launching a new party in the States.
The America Party. I mean, the name itself is just brilliant. We're here. We've got Reform, Reclaim, Reunite, this, Homeland this. We've got all these, everybody's trying to get the name.
Britain.
Britain first, something.
We had Britain first, and they were a bit...
It all goes down the slightly far-right thing, But
the America Party is just so straightforward.
It sounds good. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't know whether this was a joke, but he really is. He's been teasing this idea. He put up a poll on the 4th of July saying, do we need a third party, basically? He had the big spat with Trump. He's fallen out with Trump. He funded Trump's campaign to the tune of billions. So the details are still not clear. He hasn't formally registered any paperwork as yet. It's just an announcement, so we don't actually know that much. Is he going to fund it? Is he going to front it? Because he's not really charismatic in the way that Donald Trump is. I think, look, the
he comes over as a bit odd, doesn't he?
The real risk here to Trump is that he's going to nibble away at the right. He's going to undermine that razor-thin majority for Republicans in Congress that he's going to, because he wants to support all the Republicans who are opposing Trump's big, beautiful bill. I love that you can call it that in America.
I think a lot of people have kind of got to the point with Elon Musk where, he was going down some rabbit holes calling for Tommy Robinson to be free, getting involved in everything. And everyone's like, this is absolutely nuts. And I think now that Donald Trump's probably realised that, he's probably got some polling behind it, but he wouldn't be just getting rid of him like that if he didn't think he was more of a liability than an asset.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Right, it's time for one more. Chris.
Banter police.
Yeah, go on, banter police.
I mean, I'm a trade unionist. Look, Rayner's been, alleged to have been putting in banter police into the office, so I think it's about the Employment Rights Bill. So the key bit here is a sort of...
I bet you like a banter, don't you?
Yeah, I'm partial to a bit of banter, but the main thing here is whether third parties should be have all reasonable steps to make sure that people aren't doing any harassment. Now, I think under the Clegg, and they become a coalition, they sort of remove this requirement for a third party to be under their remit. And if you take real-life cases, you know, there's a major one for a Tesco female caseworker where a punter was coming in and, let's just say, making some lewd remarks repeatedly. She put a complaint in, nothing was done, and then she ended up quitting her job. So, you know, I think
yes, there are times when you can see that it's serious.
Yeah, and, you know, and if it needs a legal, you know, case, then it probably wasn't banter, you know. And I think for the sort of the banter police remarks, I think they're a bit overhyped, in my opinion. And
it's not quite the idea of banter police being in every
Well,
office.
but there could be diversity officers who have to protect staff from overheard content of harassment.
Well, so you've got
in
to
a
be
pub?
careful.
How can you do that in a pub?
Right, you two, thank you.
Let's catch up with the weather now.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. It is quite a muggy start out there for this second half of the weekend. A reasonable amount of cloud around as well, all being driven in by this area of low pressure. A few fronts to watch out for, particularly this one we've got our eyes on, could provide some quite intense bursts of rain first thing this morning around the Humber and the Wash. It will tend to break up into more scattered showers as it drifts southeastwards, and some of those could turn thundery with some hail around at times as well, so it's worth taking care across those eastern areas of England. A scattering of showers coming in elsewhere, being brought in by a brisk northwesterly wind, and so it is going to make it feel quite cool out there for some of us, particularly across parts of Scotland where temperatures will be climbing around 15-16 degrees Celsius. But the sunshine should hopefully start breaking through a touch more here into the afternoon. Again, potential for some brighter spells arriving into Northern Ireland later on, but the bulk of England and Wales are likely to hold on to a good amount of cloud as we head throughout much of Sunday. But a touch more warmth here will allow those temperatures to peak around 24 degrees Celsius in the southeast. We'll start to see more on those showers drifting their way southwards, so some further pulses of rain pushing in across England and Wales throughout the evening and overnight. Otherwise, some clear spells developing, and with that northwesterly wind filtering in some fresher conditions, tonight should hopefully be a touch more comfortable for sleeping. Many of us seeing temperatures drop down to 10 to 14 degrees Celsius. Some early rain to contend with then across areas in the south, but that will eventually clear its way off. Some scattered showers just pushing in across North Sea coastal regions and well for the far northwest of Scotland. But for Wales, western areas of England will hopefully see the sunshine breaking in a lot more as we head into the afternoon. It should dry up quite nicely. If you manage to see that sunshine, temperatures not too bad, 20-23 degrees Celsius, but it is still going to be a breezy day out there, and that will certainly affect the feel of things if you're caught in it. The sunshine, though, should turn more widespread for many of us, and temperatures are set to climb. Enjoy your day.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lionesses' Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Another blow for Labour.
A year after winning the landslide victory, polling suggests that 72% of the public thinks Sir Keir Starmer's government is as chaotic as the previous Conservative one.
Well, the drama over Rachel Reeves and the welfare bill has undermined trust in the Labour Party and given the Prime Minister his lowest approval rating.
And a mega poll of 10,000 people reveals that if an election were held tomorrow, Nigel Farage's Reform Party would win 290 seats and top cabinet ministers would be out of a job.
So, is it too late for Labour to turn things around?
The tech tycoon and world's richest man, Elon Musk, has announced that he is launching a new political party, and that's just weeks after he was best friends with President Donald Trump.
Fairly wrong. We really don't know at the moment. It's loud bangs.
Tomorrow marks 20 years since the 7/7 bombings, a day when London changed forever. We'll reflect on that throughout the programme.
At least 43 people, including 15 children, are now confirmed dead, dozens still missing as flash flooding hits Texas.
Is funding the arts, especially at this time, just a waste of money? That's our debate this morning after the King's Foundation launched a programme to teach students how to make costumes.
And would you pay to spend a penny, or should it be free? One councillor in North Yorkshire is opposing plans to charge people 40p to use council-owned public toilets.
It's the British Grand Prix, and Lando Norris believes 6 cars are capable of snatching glory at Silverstone. There's a serious test for Bazball as England chase India's hefty runs target at Edgbaston, and Trent Alexander-Arnold says Jota was with me as his goal took Real Madrid to the semi-finals of the Club World Cup.
There are thunderstorms in the forecast today. They may even affect Wimbledon. Join me later for the full details.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast. Did you know there's a beautiful tennis court, in Buckingham Palace?
Oh, is there?
Yeah. And apparently it's always been a rule that you have to wear total whites if you want to play there. Not that anyone's invited, but everybody who does get to play on it, and lots of big tennis stars have, and apparently the Queen Elizabeth's father, King George the Sixth. He was a great tennis player, and so insisted everybody wore white. But they've just relaxed the rules. The King's relaxed the rules.
There was a rule at my local club, still.
I like it when everybody wears white. I think they look wonderful. The only trouble is you can't tell when you're watching the telly. You can't often tell which player is which.
We can't tell anyway.
No, because they look they look exactly the same.
It was Andre Agassi 30 odd years ago who started wearing different outfits.
Is that right?
Garish stuff, didn't he?
If you show pictures of Andre Agassi, I mean, he used to have long blonde locks. Didn't he?
Bald as a coot now.
Yeah, there you
bald
go.
as a coot.
That's age for you.
Anyway, miserable devils. Greenwich in South East London, Greenwich Council has banned ice cream vans. Is it?
Oh.
In this beautiful hot weather, they have banned ice cream vans.
Why?
Because, here we go. And particularly on King William Walk, which is the bottom entrance to Greenwich Park. I used to live around that area years ago. Because, where's the decision? It's about preserving the area, and they said there is a potential danger to pedestrians.
But you mean sort of mobile?
They park up.
Ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding.
It parks up at the bottom by the gates.
Oh, that's a shame because those are wonderful.
Has that made it to the front pages?
No,
it's not much of a scoop.
Get off.
Oh, boy.
Get off.
Good one there, actually.
So they're taking this ice cream
I
they're
think
taking
that's
them
a
to the
real
High
shame.
Court.
I think ice cream vans are wonderful things.
Also, it's bad for environmental health. Probably saying it's too much
Probably
sugar.
someone paying for one of the units in town and not getting their money's worth.
But it's
what it is.
been unanimously passed by the council.
Ooh.
Unanimously
Maybe they've had a problem of some sort with...
No, this guy's worked there for 30 years.
That's a shame.
It's a
Come on,
disgrace,
Greenwich.
you
Yeah.
miserable devils.
Yeah.
Sort it out.
It is lovely around there as well.
Yeah, and I love hearing it. I love hearing an ice cream van. You can't beat it, Mr. Whip here.
No, exactly, and it's one of the very few places you can get proper ice cream, in a cone that's been swirled. Otherwise, it's just going to come down to...
I'm a rum and raisin man.
A rum and raisin.
Well, you can't get rum and raisin in an ice cream van.
You can.
Can you?
Yes, you can. My local one, you can. Yeah. Seb in the gallery confirming that.
Yeah. No, I think they're an important part of British summer life.
They are.
We don't get that much British summer anyway, so let's...
I don't know if Greenwich Council is... I don't know who leads it. I don't know what party is in charge, but whoever they are, vote them out.
Yes.
That's what I say.
It's not good enough.
Vote for the ice cream party. Right, talking of elections, a year after securing a landslide victory, polling is indicating that 72% of us think Sir Keir Starmer's government is as chaotic as the last Conservative
It
one.
certainly seems so at the moment, doesn't it? The drama surrounding Rachel Reeves and the welfare bill seems to have resulted in the Prime Minister receiving his lowest approval rating yet.
Additionally, recent polling reveals that if there was an election tomorrow, the Reform Party would get 290 seats and a whole load of top cabinet ministers would lose their jobs.
The point is, can Labour turn it around in time, and can Nigel Farage get enough credible candidates to really be a threat come the next general election? Political commentator John Oxley joins us. Well, to those two questions, can Labour turn it around, or are they sunk already?
I think, as you say, there is lots of time and there is lots you can do over the course of 4 years, and there's plenty you can do in the short term that will start to have an effect. But I think it's a real challenge, and the problem for Labour so far is they've not really seemed up to it. They don't really seem to have the right strategy. They don't seem to follow through with their actions. So there's lots of things they can do. The question is, do they have the will and the wherewithal to actually pull this back together? And if so, why haven't they done it 12 months ago?
I tell you what seems interesting in this, and we're saying, is there time? Can they sort it out? Well, 1 year into what will be a 5-year term, most likely. Of course they can turn it around. I mean, it's the fact that it's gone so badly that 1 year in we're talking in this sort of way. A week is a long time in politics, never mind 4 years.
Absolutely. And I think we've got used to politics being quite frantic over the last few years, and that's maybe distracting us from how long these terms can be. Although, of course, the other risk is for the government. There are all sorts of things that could go wrong in those 4 years. The last government got hit by COVID, they got hit by the war in Ukraine, and that made things much harder for them. So there's always the potential for something to come out of left field that makes things worse. There are very few things that turn up unexpectedly in politics that make your life easier, and lots that turn up and can make it harder.
I mean, a year ago we were saying, wow, what a massive majority they get. They'll never have a problem passing all sorts of laws that maybe some of us don't welcome. And hey presto, I mean, they are very, very divided already and finding they can't do what the Cabinet want to do for fear of losing an enormous amount of their own MPs. And then up comes Jeremy Corbyn with the idea of a new party anyway. So I just can't see how it's going to be an easy 4 years for them at all. They've got to decide what they're about as well, haven't they?
Yes, and as you point to, one of the things you normally expect with a new government with a massive majority is everyone's quite chuffed to be there and everyone stays on side. And that seems to have been squandered. There's a big thread of rebellion this week. And rebelling is kind of one of those things. Once you cross the line once, you get more comfortable with the idea. And there's a big group of MPs there who are willing to say to their own government, no, this isn't what we came into politics to do. We don't want to do this. You're going to have trouble if you try and push it onto us.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? But as you said, there are big issues for reform, doing very well in the polls, but as I said, there's lots they've got to get into place in terms of structure and candidates. In the meantime, the Tories have got structure and candidates. They just haven't got a lot of support.
No, and a year ago we were sort of marvelling at how badly the Conservatives had done, their worst ever performance. Since then, they've lost about a third of the people who voted for them, and that really looks like a terminal decline. And they've struggled to step away from that legacy of being in power for 14 years, and they themselves are struggling to find the right offering that differentiates themselves both from Labour and from Reform.
Yeah, and Reform still a mountain to climb, an absolute Everest to climb if they are going to be a credible force come the next general election.
Yes, you need hundreds of candidates, hundreds of credible candidates, not just to be MPs, but who's going to form the government, who's going to be the ministers, how do you get the campaigning infrastructure, and ultimately, how do you convince people to take a risk on an unproven party? We were saying earlier, one of the things that's going on at the moment really is a lot of people saying, well, no one else is delivering, maybe this unproven party can do it. But I think that's easy to say when someone asks you in a poll 4 years away from a general election. When it comes to who is actually going to be the next government, potentially things could be very different.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair point, but I think people are more willing to take a risk now than they've ever been.
I think a lot of people are absolutely desperate to take a risk because they can't see anything in what's available at the moment.
No, it's interesting.
And we don't have midterms here, but we do have more local elections
yes, a couple of years.
Spring, don't we? Birmingham, for instance, is up for grabs, 101 seats, apparently. And look at the mess Birmingham's in at the moment. Reform must be targeting there.
Potentially, or as well, in a lot of the cities, I think we're going to see a rising threat from the Green Party, from some of these independent candidates, potentially from a new party from Jeremy Corbyn, where Labour have been able to take these votes for granted for a long time, and there's not necessarily the grounds to swell for reform, but there is that same sort of anti-establishment, anti-the same old party's instincts that will come out elsewhere and potentially could be a very disruptive year.
OK, John, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. We were talking earlier about spending a penny.
Yes.
Because there's all this business about this council wanting to introduce charges.
40p.
And I was sort of saying one of the issues all around all of this sort of thing, which gets my go, is stuff around people saying not every disability is visible. And there are exceptions to that, but I think, frankly, most disabilities are visible. Mo's been in touch, saying, Stephen, you clearly don't have diverticulitis. It's, I'm 80, I've got diverticulitis. Not that I claim for it, but not every disability is visible. I think this is part of the problem. Diverticulitis, and I know I've had relatives
with that. I don't know what it is.
It's a bowel issue.
So it would stop you living a normal life.
And it can be problematic. It can be very problematic, but it's not a disability. It's not a disability. If you want to start saying diverticulitis is a disability, then I can start saying being a type 1 diabetic is a disability. And I want all the benefits that go with that and money to, And it's not. It's an illness. It's a condition. It's something you have to deal with. It's an inconvenience and it's problematic. But it's not something that you should be supporting. You're getting financial support for.
Out of interest, I wonder if you would qualify. If you presented your case well enough, do you think you would qualify for PIP?
Possibly.
That's
possibly
astonishing, isn't it?
I mean, interestingly, I am covered under the Disability at Work Act. So I do tick a box, but it currently
I just wondered how much if you pushed it, whether you could.
You could probably push it, and I think that's totally wrong. It's a chronic condition that you then have to manage. We get support. I get free prescriptions. Because otherwise you couldn't afford all the insulin, it cost a fortune. But again, stuff like diverticulitis, I'm very sympathetic. It's not pleasant. However, is it a disability? No, not in my book.
Fascinating.
Isn't it interesting? It's a debate worth having.
Yes, well, it's got to be had, hasn't it? Because we can't afford to just give everybody financial help.
No.
Or cars or whatever.
No.
You just can't give it to everybody.
Right. Should we move on? It's 13 minutes past 7, because tomorrow is 20 years since the 7/7 bombings.
Yes, you could say it's a day that changed London, well, and most city life forever. On the 7th of July 2005, 4 terrorists detonated bombs on the Underground and on a double-decker bus, killing 52 people, injuring almost 800.
Let's talk to the author of 3 Weeks in July, filmmaker of 7/7, the London bombings, Adam Wishart. Adam, good to see you this morning. I mean, frankly, it seems remarkable that it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same reaction. It seemed only yesterday that the chaos and nervousness that we experienced on the streets of London were happening. And, the intention of our book and our TV series that's on iPlayer was to try and put the viewer, the reader, back into that position 20 years ago, to understand what was happening in the state and what was happening to the victims and survivors on the ground, and to try and recapture a moment. And the reason we did that, I think, is because, we live in a world where we don't really understand what states do and what people do, what the state, the security forces, the government do to try and keep us safe. And I thought it was an interesting thing to try and recapture that moment, to try and pick apart the people on the ground, the people, the detectives trying to figure out what went wrong, but also the senior management in the police, Ian Blair, the commissioner, Tony Blair, the Prime Minister, what they were doing to try and keep Britain safe.
I think most of us will never forget where we were when we heard that news. Stephen, you were actually reading the news that day, weren't you?
I technically the first person in the world to break the news. Yes, when it all first started. So, I mean, that's something you don't forget.
And I was a distraught mum with 2 boys who I knew were just sort of wandering around London that morning. Adam, where were you?
I was in a house in Kensal Rise, and my then girlfriend was asking me if she should press on to London because all the transport seemed closed. And I was saying, yeah, just go. Your meeting in Tavistock Square will be fine. Don't worry about it.
Tavistock Square.
No, yeah.
That's where the bus went.
And that was the point, wasn't it? I mean, the first 3 detonations were underground. So obviously it was the emergency services and the people there who witnessed that. We ordinary viewers, as it were, didn't see it until the bus happened. And
well, that was the link. That's when you knew there was a level of coordination of an actual attack.
But we saw it. We saw a bus and people being ripped apart in front of our eyes almost. And it's still terrifying to look at it, isn't it, Adam?
Well, yeah, I mean, the first bomb happened at 8:48. There were 3 attacks in the Underground. And initially, the London Underground thought that, maybe this was an electrical fault, maybe something weird had happened, who knew? There was lots of miscommunication going on. And so it wasn't really until 9:50 when the bus went off and everybody saw in plain sight that this was definitely a bomb, and this was related to the 3 previous attacks that everybody understood that this was terrorism. But the fear was, the problem for the police was nobody knew if this was, a suicide attack. Nobody knew that. But nobody knew if this was the first of a wave of attacks that was, intended to destabilise Britain.
Yes.
And so they had to find out who did it, what the network was, did they have the capability and motivation to do another bombing attack?
How do you think? I mean, it's interesting that we've been saying, it's a day that changed London forever. I wonder if that's the case for Londoners or for visitors. It may have changed London forever in the way it's policed, in the way that security services operate. But for ordinary Londoners, I mean, there was a very strong effort to say, we're going to get back on the tube. We're going to get life back to normal.
Well, I mean, Tony Blair was very clear during those days, and the intention of government was, you know, you can't let the terrorists win, and the way to let the terrorists win is to lock down London and, you know, to stop its business carrying on. So, you know, the Londoners in general showed an extraordinary resilience in sort of dusting themselves down and going back to work in the following days, albeit with some fear and worry. But, you know, London was up and running pretty quickly. And similarly, in the last 20 years, you know, we carry on in London about our normal business. We get on with it.
Yeah, but it seemed so senseless as well, because one of the first things everybody noticed was that whatever the terrorists were trying to make, they were actually attacking on that bus particularly, but I suppose also the Underground. They were attacking people of every ethnic variety you could think of, because London's like that.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you know, there were Muslim survivors and victims, and as well as many different, you know, people from many different nations. And so, you know, it's always unfathomable, I think, to work out why terrorists do what they do. Like it's you know, as a writer of my book 3 Weeks in July and the TV series, you know, we would have loved to have tried to explain what is the motivation, what goes through your mind when you pack a rucksack full of explosives, where you hold the trigger in your hand. But in the end, it's impossible, I think, to work out what goes through a terrorist's mind at that point.
All right, Adam, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Absolutely. Yes, the book's called 3 Weeks in July.
It's chilling to think back to it, really.
Yeah, so you were in the newsroom.
I was on air.
You were on air already?
I was on air, doing the breakfast show. I always do the breakfast shows. Yeah. And it was, and it went off. And so we thought, powers... In fact, we had people at... we had a reporter at Stratford... what's it called? Where the Olympics was. Where the Olympics was. Stratford, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stratford. Because the Olympics had been announced that we'd won the day before.
Of course. Yes.
So we had them there because obviously it was all about the refurb and everything that was going to be happening there. And then all this stuff about, you know, power cuts, something going on with the tube. And we covered all of that, thinking it's all very suspicious because there were several things. But you don't jump to a conclusion of terrorism, obviously. But then we also had a producer who happened to be in Tavistock Square when the bus exploded, and therefore we got him on the phone, and at that point we just went through it very, very slowly and repeated it, because although we didn't say terrorism, that's the first point when you know this is not an electrical failure. You don't have an electrical failure and then a bus explodes. No. So that was the key point. But yes, to be the person who broke that, well,
terrifying. Do you remember as well that in Tavistock Square, the explosion actually happened outside the General Medical Council?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Which had hundreds of doctors there all meeting, and of course the emergency services were absolutely unbelievable. What a terrible, terrible job they had to as well. Many of them had been decorated for their amazing work that they did that day, but it was a particularly awful, awful day.
Yes, it was.
And of course, and as you say, you just don't know how is it going to go on.
No, that was a concern. How long was it going to go on for? It does feel like it's the end of the world when things like that happen.
Have we not got a clip? I thought we had a clip of you reading the news that morning. We'll look one out. We'll look
but no, it was grim.
Yeah,
it was grim. But we come through it, don't we? We come through it. It's what you've got to do as a nation. Is absolutely come through and carry on and get back to normal.
Absolutely. Well, that's what we've got to do now, get on with the business. And first on the menu is let's find out about the weather, because apparently we may not get it today, but we are going to get a heat wave, I think, again next week.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. It is quite a muggy start out there for this second half of the weekend. A reasonable amount of cloud around as well, all being driven in by this area of low pressure. A few fronts to watch out for, particularly this one we've got our eyes on, could provide some quite intense bursts of rain first thing this morning around the Humber and the Wash. It will tend to break up into more scattered showers as it drifts southeastwards, and some of those could turn thundery with some hail around at times as well, so it's worth taking care across those eastern areas of England. A scattering of showers coming in elsewhere, being brought in by a brisk northwesterly wind, and so it is going to make it feel quite cool out there for some of us, particularly across parts of Scotland where temperatures will be climbing around 15-16 degrees Celsius. But the sunshine should hopefully start breaking through a touch more here into the afternoon. Again, potential for some brighter spells arriving into Northern Ireland later on, but the bulk of England and Wales are likely to hold on to a good amount of cloud as we head throughout much of Sunday. But a touch more warmth here will allow those temperatures to peak around 24 degrees Celsius in the southeast. We'll start to see more on those showers drifting their way southwards, so some further pulses of rain pushing in across England and Wales throughout the evening and overnight. Otherwise, some clear spells developing, and with that northwesterly wind filtering in some fresher conditions, tonight should hopefully be a touch more comfortable for sleeping. Many of us seeing temperatures drop down to 10 to 14 degrees Celsius. Some early rain to contend with then across areas in the south, but that will eventually clear its way off. Some scattered showers just pushing in across North Sea coastal regions and well for the far northwest of Scotland. But for Wales, western areas of England will hopefully see the sunshine breaking in a lot more as we head into the afternoon. It should dry up quite nicely. If you manage to see that sunshine, temperatures not too bad, 20-23 degrees Celsius, but it is still going to be a breezy day out there, and that will certainly affect the feel of things if you're caught in it. The sunshine, though, should turn more widespread for many of us, and temperatures are set to climb. Enjoy your day.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Just a quick
Hello. Start that again.
Oh, yeah. Just a quick reminder that there's a very special programme today with Eamon Holmes. It's called Sunday with Eamon, and it's 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Now, still to come for you, we don't need guests on this one.
No,
we
we
just debate
don't.
it ourselves. Is funding the arts a waste of time? We'll debate that next.
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Welcome to the Bakerloo line, where over the last year, 2 years, every single carriage seems to have been just absolutely covered in graffiti. So we're out this morning to try and do what the Mayor, Sadiq Khan, seemingly can't. Let's clean up the tube. Look, these doors used to be covered in graffiti, but no more. See, it's not impossible.
Not impossible it is, because there is so much that can actually be done. And just a few friends of mine, actually a guy called Joe Reeve, who organised this all, he's from the campaign group Looking for Growth. And he got in touch and said, do I want to come? And I was like, absolutely, I bloomin' do. Because I think we can show some pictures of some of our work, which was just on Sunday morning. And it was actually remarkably simple. What we did was we sprayed the graffiti with sort of anti-graffiti spray, eco-friendly anti-graffiti spray, actually, as it is.
I didn't know it was a thing.
A bit of scrubbing, and look, it just comes off. I mean, this stuff is not rocket science. A total lack of imagination, a total unwillingness to do anything about the sort of social decay that we're seeing in our cities and the country at the moment. A laziness, a profound laziness and lack of political will at the heart of the governance of London that means that people are just like, oh, the washing machine's broken, we'll just live with this social decay. Well, no, you don't have to live with the social decay. You can come up with new ways to do things. You can give some people some sponges, some water and some graffiti spray and get that stuff off. It's not impossible. Pull your socks up, Sadiq. Do something about it.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Now, you better read this, because I don't think I can read this out.
No, I know. We fall out over this. About public art, really.
Yes.
Beautiful works of art, amazing statues.
I want to know which lunatic has written this. We all, now, it says, we all love the arts.
He doesn't.
No, we don't all love the arts. Waste of money.
See, I don't think so. I think without a bit of public art... Some public art is wonderful and it enhances the environment. Yeah, of course it does.
Claptrap.
What about that great big statue of Winston Churchill in Parliament Square?
Well, it's very
Are you
nice.
saying it shouldn't be there?
Well, it wouldn't suit... It would be far down my list of priorities at the moment.
No, but what would a city be without amazing statues and wonderful works of art?
Cheaper to run.
No. So that's what we're going to talk about. It's sort of been brewing because the King's Foundation is launching a programme to teach students the joys of costume making for film, for theatre, things like that. It's an important skill.
It's a skill.
It's a marketable skill. And without that, you wouldn't go to the theatre and not expect costume, would you?
No, but would you expect to train in something, get a 1,500 monthly bursary?
Yeah, but that's
your
coming from the
living
King's
costs?
Foundation Fund.
Well,
it's
even so.
important to fund the arts. Otherwise...
Let private people do it.
We're having the debate. Actually, we've got two guests to have the debate. Joining us now...
It won't be as good as us.
No, cultural historian Philip Kisersley and former royal gardener Jack Stocks. OK, so who are we going to start with?
Philip.
Philip, yes. Make the case.
All right. Well, I'm going to make the case against it, actually. I don't really think we should be funding this. I'm all for public art, and I think statues are wonderful, and I think the statue of Winston Churchill is in Parliament Square is just superb. The point I want to make is that would never get funded now if it were to be commissioned now, because generally funding, and I'm thinking about organisations, arm's length, anti-democratic organisations like Arts Council England, they have very particular agendas, and they are going to be about sex, race, gender, sustainability. The example that you're talking about at the moment, the costume making example, the first thing they talk about when they talk about priorities is sustainability. What? It's about costume. This isn't about sustainability. They also talk about well-being. Really? Well-being? We're talking about making costumes here. So there's this agenda, which is essentially the DEI agenda, which is just so divisive, really. It's the opposite of what it purports to be, because what we're talking about here is, with public art, we're talking about inclusivity, aren't we? We're talking about beauty. And those kind of things just definitely don't happen when all of this stuff is very ideologically driven. And if you're thinking about the creative industries, which you're talking about here, the cultural industries, the creative industries, they are colonized by one particular kind of person, and it's very ideological and it's very political. I'll give you an example of how funding organisations really
just briefly, Philip.
Work against what we're trying to say. 2021, the English touring opera attributed its firing of white musicians to firm guidance from the Arts Council, and that guidance was made in the spirit of inclusivity.
Yeah. All right, Jack, argue against that if you dare.
Well, as we can see, we know what the King is all about. We know the King wants to help people in disadvantaged areas, as we've seen up in Scotland, where the King's Foundation has its heart, up there. that is where the course is going to be run. And they are looking for people from ideally disadvantaged areas, but people who want to get into that industry. So I don't see why there's a problem. This is money coming from a charity, helping people that want to get into this business. We are seeing a lot more studios coming up in Britain. We're seeing a lot more film coming back into Britain. You know, we lost that for a time, and we are gaining it back. And why should we not want to have people do these jobs to actually show what Britain's all about?
Well, I mean,
Yes,
that's fair enough. And the argument here is if it's being funded by the king, fair enough. You can do what you like with your own money, but it's when it's public funds that are used to, you know, in effect, tart up a town centre with a bit of rubbish. I mean, it makes no sense at all.
It isn't necessarily a bit of rubbish.
I don't think that I agree with you on that, because we do have all of these statues and sculptures within different areas. I mean, you can say the Eiffel Tower is a statue or a sculpture. You know, people go to Paris to see it. So why would we not want that in our country for people to come and see what we have? And, you know, that brings tourism in, that brings a lot of money into our country. I mean, we've just, a statue is going to be made with the Queen riding a horse. Is that not appropriate? Is that not wanted?
If they're decent statues, but most of them these days are absolutely these weird and wonderful, you know, plastic cows or whatever. I mean, what is the point?
Philip,
yeah, I think.
I was going to say what you said. You were mostly against some of the organisations, not the idea of public art itself.
I'm not against the idea of public art. No, I'm not. I'm absolutely for beautiful statues. I'm for beautiful environments and beautiful spaces, but it just never works out the way it's supposed to, primarily because of the ideological agendas that are always behind this kind of stuff. I spent 25 years in arts education. I've been heavily involved in the creative industries, cultural industries over the years. Now I'm obviously involved in Westminster with think tanks and all of that kind of thing. So we explore all of these things and we look at those things. And my personal experience, my lived experience, if you want to call it, is all of these agendas. It's exactly the same kind of person. Now, I'm all for, you know, getting different kinds of people into this space and giving people opportunities, but it really doesn't happen because it's the same kind of people over and over again. And there is an obsession with race, for example. There is an obsession with gender. And all of a sudden, it becomes about these agendas. It's not actually about the piece of art. And this is why so often we see monstrosities like the Fourth Plinth, for example, which actually work against the public space. But it's always about identity. It's always about politics. And usually when we're talking about the kinds of things we're talking about here, it's about working against heritage. It's about working against history. It's about trying to problematize
No, I agree with you there. It's wrong. That is, it's been infiltrated, hasn't it, a bit?
All right, Philip, Jack, good to see you both. Thank you very much indeed. I'll just finish on this from Daryl, who's been in touch, saying arts in the UK are just for the chattering classes. Its funding just enriches middle-class people. And I'm afraid that's what I agree with.
No,
it is chattering classes who think, oh, marvellous. Oh, wonderful. Well, oh, it's not marvellous.
So if you go down to Buckingham Palace and there's the statue of Queen Victoria there...
Yeah, but that's different.
No, it's not. That's exactly what we're talking about.
No, it isn't really, because it's about the modern stuff that people are doing now, what we're funding now.
Yes.
And it's you go to these places and it's all plastic and bright colours.
I mean, they got the Diana fountain wrong as well.
Totally. But you look at it and you go, what's that meant to be?
Yeah.
What's it meant to be?
Yeah, but it's sort of challenging. It's meant to make you think.
A tradition of what?
It makes you think. It makes steam come out of your ears. It gets an effect. It has an effect, and it enhances.
It's rubbish.
Yeah, it elicits a response, and it gets everybody talking, and it's exciting and different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough.
Let
us know what you think. Right, Aidan is well funded and makes perfect sense, and he's here with the sport in just a moment.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, Aidan's here and there's lots of sport around. What should we start with?
Let's start with the British Grand Prix.
Oh, yes, let's Silverstone
because there'll be a few celebs there later on. The promise of rain, so that might affect the outcome on the track. And you know what? The last few years has been quite processional, but now we seem to have a bit of a race involved. And
good.
At the start of the... It's good that there's a race involved, as we can expect, but... Before the start of the season, it was all about, can Lewis Hamilton make an impact in the Ferrari? Well, the evidence up to now has been no, although he did qualify in 5th yesterday. But I look at the rest of it, and I see there's 2 other Brits there, and they're not getting enough attention. Lando Norris, outstanding. George Russell, outstanding. And I just wonder whether, as I say, 4 years in a row now, Max Verstappen has won the title. He qualified brilliantly on pole yesterday with a wonderful last round, and that sets us up for a fantastic race today. But I just think with the unpredictability of the weather...
Yes, the rain.
It could, and that could impact events at the cricket as well at Edgbaston.
Oh,
well,
yes.
It's going to be an interesting one to watch. That's good. But yeah, what are we seeing? We're 72 for 3, aren't we?
Yes, but they have to chase. I think it's 536 runs to try and get to overhaul India. So they're hoping, really. Well, it goes against the principle of baseball. Baseball is about knocking the ball out of the park, racking up as many runs as you can possibly amass. And the problem today is that it's not really in England's interest to do that. If their best hope is to, because the total is so high, their best hope is to get a draw. So if there's 7 wickets left, they have to hope one of those survive intact, and it just goes against everything. Now, the assistant coach Marcus Trescothick, who was a celebrated England player back in the day, he said, he was asked the question yesterday, will you go against your principles? Is the option there to do that? And he said, absolutely yes. So Bazball, your friend, could go out of the window today, but we'll have to see. But rain again, that's another thing that's another factor that could force the draw as well. So we'll see how it plays out.
What do you think of the story that seems to be being stirred up a lot about the fact that Ronaldo didn't go to the Jota funeral? I mean, when I heard that he wasn't going, I thought, well, it's because he doesn't want to make it about him.
Yeah,
and that's what would happen.
He didn't say that. I think that was what's reported in the paper. I can see where he's coming from. Do you not?
Yes.
I do. I think that would have...
If he turned up, there would have been huge crowds there for him.
There were,
and the important
there were enough
thing was
star names there as it was. You disagree?
On a personal level, I think he could have got in early or secretly in or something.
That's the only thing I thought.
But it was a hugely emotional...
it was...
Let's not be critical. We don't.
No, we don't know.
No, certainly not. But
I just don't like the way people are stirring it up, and I think that's the wrong time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trent Alexander scored his first goal for Real Madrid yesterday. He dedicated it to Diogo Jota. They spent 5 years together at Liverpool, and he said it was so difficult to play. He said that it was extremely difficult to take in. Don't forget, I mean, he played yesterday, 2 days after it happened. He said, I had to try and perform for the team and to help them win the game, no matter how difficult it was. Great for him that he scored that goal.
Yes,
but goodness me, it's horrible to have that in the background, because they played right in a similar area of the pitch, and they achieved great things together at Liverpool as well.
Sometimes life is cruel and you have to get on.
Very cruel.
Yeah.
All right, Aidan, thank you. We'll see you later.
OK, and in a couple of moments, we're going to be going through the papers with Emma Wolfe and Chris Worrell. First of all, though, if you fancy a bit of holiday sun, you won't get it here today, I don't think, so you might want to know where the holiday hotspots are in Europe.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The fresh northwesterly winds that are currently across the UK are also beginning to spread into other areas of Western Europe and helping to ease the heat wave that they've had here recently. Still, though, there are plenty of heavy showers and thunderstorms here, particularly across parts of Iberia, the Alps and towards the Balkans. The heat, though, is getting squeezed towards eastern areas of continental Europe, and so here temperatures are still going to be notably above average as we head over the next few days, but with some sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Good afternoon, Britain. A cheerful lollipop man's signature high fives have been stopped in their tracks.
Oh dear. Well, Neil Cotton, believed by local children... sorry. I'll start that all over again. This is a chap called Neil Cotton, and he's beloved by local kids in Howden, East Yorkshire. And he's been told by the council to stop the friendly high-fiving gesture, all in the name of health and safety.
But many parents and motorists are calling it nonsense. No surprises there. So apparently this chap, 57 years old, he spent the last 2 years brightening up the school run in the East Yorkshire town of Howden. There he is, looks like a nice guy, doesn't he? He has a cheerful attitude. He has his signature high fives. The children love it, the parents love it, he loves it. But no, the council says, get on with your job and stop the high fives.
This is the one area of employment where the council's trying to chivvy people on and get them to work harder rather than less hard. But I mean, what have we done in this country where we've sort of abandoned our sense of whimsy? I think adding a sense of whimsy to all jobs, I think, is a fundamental productivity measure, actually. I think if you're enjoying what you're doing, you're going to be doing it better. People are going to go into school or away from school with a smile on their face. What a joyful thing in a town in Yorkshire. I mean, amazing, brilliant. And yet, no, of course, the clipboards have to come out and the dour library monitor style individuals. I bet they're all library monitors at school. They've just got to tell people that they can't have fun.
Yeah, so the children have to be shooed along. They can't be distracted by such frivolities as a high five.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh, no, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Time for the papers now with Emma Wolfe and Chris Worrell. Good morning to you both. Emma, let's start with the Sunday Times. Airport staff getting cash bonuses.
Yeah, well, this is Swissport, who runs passenger gates at airport, has been secretly emailing people at EasyJet, staff at EasyJet, saying, by the way, and this is since 2023, they're offering them a cash bonus for every time they basically nab a passenger who has too much in their carry-on luggage. They get £1.20, which after tax, they get £1 for every oversized bag that they nab. And you know
because then it has to go in the hold.
Then it has to go in the hold, and they can charge them £40 or £50, and you're completely stuck because you're at the airport, you're at the gate. What do you do? I was sort of split on this. I don't think it's very much money. They're getting £1 and actually the company are getting 40 or 50. And also it is annoying when someone is hauling half their wardrobe in a huge
We all
duffel
take
bag.
far too much stuff onto airplanes.
Yeah, when they're trying to shove it in the cabin overhead lockers,
but if it's
and you're
just
thinking,
someone who's
hang on a
only
minute.
just sort of...
Only just over. I know, and it is very unfair. And there's nothing more humiliating than being at the airport and being told, oh, you're going to have to start pulling your pants and your toothbrushes out and put it in your rucksack.
Oh, I've been through that. Yeah,
it's a nightmare. Even opening your
to
suitcase
unpack everything in front of everybody.
They're not checking your bag, are they? They're sort of sizing up their wallets. I think it's sort of generating a perverse incentive, really, and, you know, it's...
But some people take the mickey, don't they? I mean, they really do. They take
so
huge
much
bags, and it does delay everybody else. I mean, why is this secret? I wonder why it has to be secret. Surely, if this is a policy, they should make it very, very clear to passengers rather than
size of the bags are, and, you know, it should be a bit clearer, I think. I think they're trying to bring it in with EU regulations and stuff, but it's taken a very American model of sort of, you know, leasing passengers.
Talking of rules and regs, what's the Sunday Mirror saying, Chris, about new rules for cafes and pubs?
Yeah, so I'm a bit mixed on this one. Struggling pubs and cafes are sort of set to get a lifeline under the new rules. So there's things where pubs are closing. It's down to a mirror campaign. There's some changes within the devolution bill, which will come out on Monday, which gives sort of community groups a first right of refusal if their sort of local pub's been put up for sale. And there's funding, that's their community ownership fund, 150 million. It's been around for a little while, actually. That's set to allow people to bid for those assets. So it's a bit of an interesting one. I mean, pub closure rates are very high, but, you know, it's things like energy costs and, you know, things like that, cost of living, kind of stopping people going down the pub. And mostly around business rates. So I think there is sometimes that I think they're bringing out, if you have a community pub, you might be able to apply for business rate relief as well. So
it's quite a complicated thing, though. I mean, I remember my godmother helping run her local community shop in a village, and it's a skill. Running a shop or a pub or a cafe, it's not easy for locals just to do that. You need people on shift, you need people to do stocking, and, you know, running a pub is an art. I'm sure... People who run these businesses would say you can't just do it just because you want to keep something going.
No, I agree. And I used to drink in a working men's club, and, like, you know, there was enough people at the factory before it got closed that kind of supported it. And realistically, unless it's got some heritage value, it's like it might just be used by those like NIMBYs, you know, they're not in my backyard people that just want to stop any development. So.
I was driving past Jeremy Clarkson's pub the other day, and my son said, "Oh, can we stop there? I'd really like to go there." It was so full of people. Really? Their field, that there were adjoining fields covered in cars, absolutely covered. It was like some enormous event was going on. It's just a regular day at Jeremy Clarkson's
He
pub.
donated a load of beer for free to help struggling pubs, I think, as well, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did, yeah.
Is that just the celebrity factor, do you think?
Yeah,
Just the fact that it's Jeremy Clarkson?
It must be. It must be, because there are lots of other beautiful pubs in the same area.
Half empty, people cannot afford to go out. And...
But my goodness, he packs them in.
Wow.
Yeah, well...
I can't tell you, it was just like some enormous event was happening, but it wasn't.
Who's this lunatic historian, Emma, in the Sunday Telegraph, who says Diana, Princess of Wales, was not a gay icon?
Well, there's been a sort of myth that Princess Diana was a gay icon, that, you know...
She was a gay icon.
Well, she was. This historian is saying she absolutely wasn't. She was as straight as they come. That actually all of that is kind of myth that's been made up in the...
Nonsense, no, because...
She was straight,
Why
but
was
she was a gay icon.
She was a gay icon. Why? Because primarily because
of AIDS.
She did all the HIV/AIDS stuff.
Yeah. But Princess Margaret was a gay icon. I mean, it was just somebody who was fun to worship and love.
Yeah, this is the author Edward White. Sorry, I was going to say Edmund White, the gay author. The Edward White survey carried out after her death in 1997 found that many gay and lesbian people were insulted by the former Princess of Wales' association with them. And he says Diana was kind of embraced, I think, by a lot of gay people, but there's an absolute fascination, la 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 la. Some people would be absolutely horrified that Diana should be considered an important gay icon. She's basically a poster girl for heteronormative couples. You can't get straighter than Princess Diana.
No, but it's not... Yeah,
It's not that she was.
It's not that simple.
It's not what she was herself, it's what she meant to people.
Yes.
She had a lot of struggles, didn't she? I mean, she went through those relationship problems, but then, like I say, she was, doing a lot for causes that...
Yeah, I mean, the way... I mean, even when she touched people...
Hugged, yeah.
She hugged people with AIDS.
Which
at the beginning was so...
And she had an air about herself that you kind of, respected and kind of, were proud of.
It was transformative,
Yeah,
though.
really
What she
was.
did was amazing, and we mustn't forget that, actually. Because when she did that first hug with somebody who was very clearly dying of AIDS, it was agonising picture, but my goodness, it made a difference.
Yes, do you remember people thinking you could get it from touch and from being near people, that not shaking their hands and all of that? It's not as simple as, a gay icon is like Kylie who struts around at a Pride Festival. It isn't that simple.
No, it isn't
Diana,
at all.
I think.
No. All right, you two, thank you very much indeed. We shall see you a little bit later.
Yeah, let's find out how soon we're going to get this heat wave again. Here's the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. It is quite a muggy start out there for this second half of the weekend. A reasonable amount of cloud around as well, all being driven in by this area of low pressure. A few fronts to watch out for, particularly this one we've got our eyes on, could provide some quite intense bursts of rain first thing this morning around the Humber and the Wash. It will tend to break up into more scattered showers as it drifts southeastwards, and some of those could turn thundery with some hail around at times as well, so it's worth taking care across those eastern areas of England. A scattering of showers coming in elsewhere, being brought in by a brisk northwesterly wind, and so it is going to make it feel quite cool out there for some of us, particularly across parts of Scotland where temperatures will be climbing around 15-16 degrees Celsius. But the sunshine should hopefully start breaking through a touch more here into the afternoon. Again, potential for some brighter spells arriving into Northern Ireland later on, but the bulk of England and Wales are likely to hold on to a good amount of cloud as we head throughout much of Sunday. But a touch more warmth here will allow those temperatures to peak around 24 degrees Celsius in the southeast. We'll start to see more on those showers drifting their way southwards, so some further pulses of rain pushing in across England and Wales throughout the evening and overnight. Otherwise, some clear spells developing, and with that northwesterly wind filtering in some fresher conditions, tonight should hopefully be a touch more comfortable for sleeping. Many of us seeing temperatures drop down to 10 to 14 degrees Celsius. Some early rain to contend with then across areas in the south, but that will eventually clear its way off. Some scattered showers just pushing in across North Sea coastal regions and well for the far northwest of Scotland. But for Wales, western areas of England will hopefully see the sunshine breaking in a lot more as we head into the afternoon. It should dry up quite nicely. If you manage to see that sunshine, temperatures not too bad, 20-23 degrees Celsius, but it is still going to be a breezy day out there, and that will certainly affect the feel of things if you're caught in it. The sunshine, though, should turn more widespread for many of us, and temperatures are set to climb. Enjoy your day.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed Heat Pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Another blow for Labour.
A year after winning a landslide victory, polling suggests that 72% of the public thinks Sir Keir Starmer's government is as chaotic as the previous Conservative one.
Well, the drama over Rachel Reeves, the welfare bill, all that has undermined trust in the Labour Party, and the Prime Minister, as a result, has got his lowest approval rating, according to the latest data.
And a mega poll of 10,000 people reveals that if an election were held tomorrow, Nigel Farage's Reform Party would win 290 seats and top cabinet ministers would be out of a job.
So, is it too late for Labour to turn things around?
The tech tycoon and world's richest man, Elon Musk, has announced that he's launching a new political party. That's just weeks after he was best friends with President Trump.
Fairly wrong. People really don't know at the moment. It's loud bangs.
Tomorrow is 20 years since the 7/7 bombings in London. We'll reflect on that throughout the programme.
At least 43 people, including 15 children, are now confirmed dead, with dozens still missing as flash floods hit Texas.
And we've been talking about funding the arts this morning. Is it a waste of money, especially with public money?
And would you pay to spend a penny, or should it be free? One councillor in North Yorkshire is opposing plans to charge people 40p to use council-owned public loos.
There are thunderstorms in the forecast today. They may even affect Wimbledon. Join me later for the full details.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
And of course, oh, God.
Yeah, I was going to say Aidan's forgotten to tell us what's coming up in the sport.
No, go on, what's happening?
It's a secret.
What are the headlines?
Loads and loads of stuff. Today we've got the F1 at Silverstone, we've got a massive run chase for England at Edgbaston. Is Bazball out of the window? We've got football as well with the Club World Cup. Yeah, exactly. And lots of other stuff besides.
Good.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are looking forward, very, very much so.
Yeah, very much so.
Just after past.
Yeah.
I was debating whether to mention this.
Oh.
But just because it's Father's Day's gone.
Yeah.
I was just saying in the break, because my dad's been saying this weekend, and how lucky if you've still got your dad.
Yeah.
How lucky. He'll be gone by the time I get home, which I don't like, so I had to sneak into the bedroom this morning.
Oh, I see. So he's off already, is he?
He'll be heading off, yeah.
But heading home.
I just thought how lucky. I was saying to Aidan, because I was driving down this morning, and I thought, because you lost your dad a few years ago.
I did, yeah.
And I just thought how fortunate to have, and it really made me feel lucky.
It is. It's a blessing to still have your parents.
Massive void in my life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It really was. I was caring for him every day, and suddenly the workload went from, well, no, a lot bigger than that, actually, to zero. I couldn't fill it
But
for
of
ages.
course.
Lucky GB News came along.
Yeah.
Because I had something to do.
But anyway, so there you go. If you've got your dad this morning...
Yeah, bless.
Or
your mum.
Your mum. Oh, yeah, of course. But just be grateful.
Yeah, make
even
every
when they,
minute
even when
count,
they drive
actually.
you mad.
Yeah, well, they always do drive you mad because they're your parents, aren't they? But, my goodness, you miss them when they're gone. Yeah, you really do.
I miss proving him wrong.
Oh, I'll miss trying to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
I'll never win.
No.
I'll never win.
And when I'm
Anyway.
about to do something silly, or I can't make up my mind about something, I always think, what would Dad recommend?
Yeah.
Yeah. He always used to say, simplify your life. Simplify. Don't overcomplicate things. Just deconstruct.
See,
and he was right.
Was he around then when you... Because obviously when you were in the paper... Because you were in the papers
A lot.
day.
Yeah.
And it must have been absolutely horrific,
He
actually.
hated it. Yeah. He bought a super hose, one of those very high-powered hoses.
Oh, yeah.
And he just kept that to keep the reporters away because they discovered where my mum and dad lived. So, and he used to just use that because, of course, cameramen are so worried about their cameras.
Yeah.
It really kept... It provided a barrier. It was brilliant. He was very proud of that.
Good.
He used to, I'll just hose them if they come. Yeah. But, no, he hated the press.
It's nice when they're protective.
Hated it, yeah.
Anyway, enough waffling.
Anyway, there you are.
I could blub.
Let us know about yours. Yeah, don't blub.
No,
don't blub. You've got nothing to blub about, yeah?
No, it's just you're so fortunate.
Yes,
just
you are.
Happy tears.
Count your
happy
blessings,
tears.
as they say.
Anyway, no happy tears for government today, because a year...
Lots of tears, though.
Yeah, but a year after securing that landslide victory, the polling indicates that 72% of Oz thinks Sir Keir Starmer's government is as much chaos as the last Conservative
And
one.
you can't help but think maybe he thinks that too. The drama surrounding Rachel Reeves, for instance, and the welfare bill and her tears seems to have resulted in the Prime Minister receiving his lowest approval rating yet.
Well, recent polling also suggests that if there was a general election tomorrow, Reform UK would get 290 seats. Now, it's not enough for an outright majority, but heck, what a jump it is up from the current 4 that they have, leaving top cabinet ministers without a job. So can Labour turn it all around?
Let's speak to political commentator Suzanne Evans. And a very good morning. Very good morning, Suzanne. I mean, this is quite a poll. Sir Keir Starmer has to be shocked by this. His ratings just go down and down and down.
Yes, it's not a good morning for the Prime Minister. His approval ratings have gone down from +10 in August last year to -40 now. This is according to the exclusive polling by the Sunday Times, by More in Common for the Sunday Times. There's no doubt this is an absolute disastrous poll for Keir Starmer. But really, should he be surprised? Absolutely not. I mean, since he came into office, it's been a disaster after disaster after disaster. It started with the withdrawal of the winter fuel allowance from pensioners. That was massively, massively unpopular. There's no surprise whatsoever that this poll also shows his popularity rating particularly low over the over 65s. Then hot on the heels of that, we had the Chagos disaster when he threatened to spend, he's spending £9 billion giving away the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. This week, as you mentioned, we've had the tears from Rachel Reeves, we've had the climb down on welfare. There was also that £20 billion black hole that Rachel Reeves, Chancellor, said the Tories had left behind. Well, Labour's record so far has been absolutely disastrous. They've overspent by 55 billion more than the OBR forecast in just the last 8 months. The small boat arrivals up 48% so far this year, 20,000 in the first 6 months as compared to last year. They said they were going to stop the use of hotels. Well, it turned out they were going to buy the hotels and bribe private landlords with extortionate amounts of rent to actually put these people up, pushing other people out of the rental market. I don't think there's a single demographic in the country that Keir Starmer's government has not upset in some way or another. I mean, I could go on. You know, there was the freebie scandal. The rest of us are struggling with higher taxes whilst they were getting free suits and free spectacles and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's an endless litany of absolute disasters from this government from the word go.
Well, yes, but the point is, does it matter? In the well, no, hold on. In the sense that there are 4 years until another general election. There's, you know, maybe they're doing all the bad stuff now. They're making all the hard stuff. They said from day one, this is going to be very, very hard on us all. We're going to really feel it. So they painted that picture. There's 4 years to turn this around. That is an extraordinary amount of time in politics.
Well, there are, but I think people don't see them taking the hard decisions. I think they see them taking decisions that were not in their manifesto. So, for example, Chagos was not in the manifesto. The vote on decriminalising abortion was not in the manifesto. That upset a lot of people. Now, abortion up to term. The tax rises were not in the manifesto. They promised there'd be no tax rises on working people, and then spun that. I think very badly, to make a rise in employer national insurance, which actually means that people are losing jobs because businesses are going bust. They haven't got so much money to play with. They're having to cut costs. So that is a tax on working people, however way you want to look at it. And so I don't think people see them making hard decisions. I see they see them making decisions that are not necessary. I think there is now a huge amount of I think concern rising about net zero, for example. So how can you have a £20 billion black hole allegedly on the one hand and then give Ed Miliband £20 billion on a carbon capture and storage project, which is completely unproven and untested? That, again, is something that rankles. You know, their tax pledges, putting up taxes on wealthy people, that's just led wealthy people to leave the country. We've seen a phenomenal exodus of millionaires from this country, young people looking for jobs overseas, in Dubai, for example, instead of actually looking for a future career here. So I think they might have 4 years, but the way I see it and the way a lot of people see it is that in that 4 years, things could get a lot worse. The overspend now, the budget overspend is so huge that a bailout from the IMF is not beyond the bounds of possibility. And we think we're having tough times now. Wait until that happens. And yet this week, Keir Starmer's also signed a UN pact promising even more tax rises, more tax hikes on alcohol, on fuel, on tobacco, on wealthy people, whatever that might mean.
I mean, it's so frustrating. I mean, hearing your litany there, looking at the polling on Keir Starmer, the fact that he is massively unpopular. And when they do these polls, time and again, people say, I cannot trust a word he says. So you end up thinking, well, what can we do about it? We're just stuck with them.
Well, we are, and I think one of the most depressing things about this particular poll is that people asked who they trusted more as Prime Minister. Was it Keir Starmer, was it Nigel Farage, or was it Kemi Badenoch? And the really depressing answer was that a majority of people, 46%, said none of them. And I think this is the other problem. Trust in politicians has never been high. It really hasn't. But it is absolutely on the floor now. And if I had £1 for every time I'd heard somebody say they're all as bad as each other, I don't trust any of them, I'd be a very rich woman. And I don't see Labour turning that around. We've now, also this week, other bad news for Keir Starmer, this formation of a new party by Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana. That is potentially going to eat into Labour's vote as well. So yes, they might have 4 years left. But to be honest, right now, the picture looks very, very gloomy. And if reform
Suzanne, it looks more gloomy for the Tories, doesn't it? It doesn't look gloomy for reform, but of course there are a lot of questions around reform as to what structures they're going to be able to get in place over the next 4 years.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, to go for nothing, let's assume this poll actually translates into reality. To go from absolutely nothing to having 290 seats in Parliament is going to bring its own challenges for reform. They've lost 2 councillors in by-elections, or 2 council seats, I should say, in by-elections this week, rather suggesting that the electorate isn't quite as strong as it was making that protest vote back at the time of the local elections. They really have to pull together a very, very strong candidate list when it comes to that general election, and just how flaky some of those candidates might turn out to be because of the speed at which they've been appointed is a potential problem for reform. There's no doubt about that. And as for the Conservatives, yes, I think many people, certainly many people I've spoken to, voted for Labour this last time because they thought, well, they haven't been in power for a long time, let's give them a chance. The Tories are absolutely hopeless. It can't be worse. Well, it's looking like it is worse, but that doesn't mean people are ready to forgive the Conservative Party just yet.
No. I was going to say, I mean, back to the question of what can we do? Maybe we've got the chaotic government we deserve, and we had the chaotic Conservative government we deserve. Maybe we should get up and decide who you want to vote for, decide who you want to support, and actually support them, do something.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I always encourage people to get involved in politics. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's a time-consuming thing to do, and it can be an expensive thing to do as well. But if you really want to complain, then for goodness sake, get out there and vote. I slightly take issue that when you say we get the government we vote we deserve, because I think in both cases, with the Conservatives and the Labour Party this time around, we got governments that didn't actually do what they said they were going to do. I think both of them pretty much have ripped up their general election manifestos, didn't follow through on their promises, brought in all kinds of other measures that were not expected. And so I think if people voted on a manifesto, they should expect to see that manifesto delivered. And unfortunately, that has not proven to be the case. And I think that is fundamentally wrong, actually, and a disgrace on the political system.
OK, Suzanne.
Thanks for cheering us up, Suzanne.
Sorry.
Yeah, me.
But it is quite a picture, isn't it?
I'm afraid it is thoroughly depressing.
Thank you, yeah.
As the way I said, but it's what happens next. It's what happens next. Will Nigel Farage be able to put structures in place?
And if you believe in reform and you're waiting for reform to do something, maybe you should get out and actually help them. Similarly, if you believe in any of the other political parties, maybe you should get out and help them sort this out, actually step up. Not sit back and expect politicians to be good.
Well, we're very good at moaning about politicians.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all the same. Well, maybe we need to become politicians. It's not for me.
No, it's not for me either.
Not for me.
But it doesn't stop you supporting somebody you believe in.
No. No, I guess. Well, not for us. We can't support political parties.
No, we can't, no.
No, but for you.
You can. Get up. Go out. Do something.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway, shall we turn our attention to the United States?
Oh, yes.
Which is horrific. There are reports now that 52 people, including 15 children, have been found dead following that flooding in Texas. Rescuers continue a frantic search for dozens more people still missing.
Yes, amongst those unaccounted for, this is awful, are 27 girls who are in a summer camp. US President Donald Trump has described the flooding as terrible.
Let's talk to the chairman of the Maritime Search and Rescue Council, Captain Matthew Shank. Good to see you this morning. I don't even know where you begin any sort of rescue operation. I mean, I know they are underway, but, I mean, on something of this scale.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we've seen overnight, there's been that increase in loss of life, which is incredibly sad, but there has still been successes seen in the search efforts. Now, the geographical size of this flooding is pretty significant. The last reports we saw were over 1,000 rescuers actively involved in that search and rescue operation. But that's exactly it. Where do we start? At this moment in time, there is a very quick primary search going on, where we're trying to get to people as quickly as they can. But the reality is this will be a prolonged search and rescue operation that will have to then become more systematic and detailed.
Yeah, I mean, the way it's been described, and when you look at the pictures, it's almost as though the area was just hit by a wall of water, like a tsunami almost. And in those circumstances, you are swept away, aren't you? So the people who are missing could be anywhere.
Absolutely. So we look at the speed of the water, we look at the size of the Guadalupe River. It's huge. And, you know, we've had people who've been reportedly found 20, 30 miles downstream from where they were originally entered the water. I think one of the key issues we're looking at here is the element of preparedness. Now, the response mechanisms that are in place are significant. You know, the United States has a great emergency response framework involving national and local teams. But we do know that overnight warnings were issued at about 1 a.m., 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. on the days of the flooding. Now, there are questions about how those warnings get to people at night time when they're in bed. You know, we look at our alert systems on our mobile phones. The United States has the same system. But questions are now being asked as to actually how prepared were the authorities in an area known as Flash Flood Alley.
Oh,
is
really?
It? Crumbs.
Oh, Lord.
So I suppose all you can do at the moment is craft to go out just scanning the river, scanning the water, and also where there are bridges or anything like that, people could be caught. But I must say I was completely staggered by this. The front page of the Sunday Times has a picture of a little girl, and the headline is "Swept Away." And unfortunately, that well could be the case for all of these children who were at summer camp.
What are the chances of survival in these sort of situations?
It's a very difficult question to answer. So we look now, we're 48 hours down the line. We've got this very fast-flowing and very dangerous water. There's lots of debris, lots of areas where people can get trapped and quite literally drown. But as we said last night, there were rescues happening and there will continue to do so. However, time is against us. The likelihood of survival in these types of circumstances are very low. And it's an interesting point you said there about the number of children. You know, I am fully anticipating that this search will carry on for as long as possible until they locate these people. And that brings questions about, obviously, the families and how that impacts on them, but also the rescuers. You know, the work that they have to do.
I was going to say, when you're saying this is, you know, very dangerous water with debris and fast flowing and all the rest of it, well, yes, but that means it's dangerous for the rescuers. Yes. Very dangerous for the rescuers.
Absolutely, it is. It is arduous work and it is very dangerous. You know, you've got the obvious risks of the high flow of water, you've got debris, but you've also got the unknown risks. You know, you look at things like sewage systems and pollution. You know, that water will be heavily contaminated. So there'll have to be preparations in place to make sure that the crews are protected from a physical well-being, but also, given the nature of this incident, mental health as well.
Yeah. I wonder how long it will take before the flood subsides and drains away. It's difficult to tell there. And also, I was wondering, if you said that they have an alarm system, if indeed, for instance, the camp of those little girls, if indeed they did get any warning, where would they have gone? There doesn't look as though there's much high ground there.
Exactly, we don't know, and this is where we would look to the authorities to have proper and effective plans in place. You know, if there is a known risk, which there is, as we said, this is called Flash Flood Alley. You know, in the last 50, 60 years, they've had a significant number of flash floods. Nothing on this scale, but it is known, and it is up to the authorities to make sure that these plans and these evacuation routes are available, but also that people are warned in enough time.
If it's called Flood Alley, what would you call it?
Flash Flood Alley.
Flash Flood Alley. Why are there buildings there? Why do they live there in such a dangerous spot?
Why are there children camping
there?
I think if you look at the United States, you know, from an environmental perspective, there is a lot of extreme weather. You know, we look towards Tornado Alley, you know, people still live there. And people have to do it. But this is where we look to the authorities to protect citizens in the event of these things happening. And I know that there will be questions asked about that level of preparedness.
OK. Captain Shank, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Thoroughly depressing, isn't it?
Very.
But stuff like that, as forces of nature, you always think of all we talk about, all the power we have, all the things we can do. When nature decides to do something, what do you do against
it? So fast. Yeah, like I said, it was like a tsunami that suddenly hit. Nothing you can do.
No. Anyway, talking of Mother Nature, let's see what the weather's going to do for us over here over the next few days.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. It is quite a muggy start out there for this second half of the weekend. A reasonable amount of cloud around as well, all being driven in by this area of low pressure. A few fronts to watch out for, particularly this one we've got our eyes on, could provide some quite intense bursts of rain first thing this morning around the Humber and the Wash. It will tend to break up into more scattered showers as it drifts southeastwards, and some of those could turn thundery with some hail around at times as well, so it's worth taking care across those eastern areas of England. A scattering of showers coming in elsewhere, being brought in by a brisk northwesterly wind, and so it is going to make it feel quite cool out there for some of us, particularly across parts of Scotland where temperatures will be climbing around 15-16 degrees Celsius. But the sunshine should hopefully start breaking through a touch more here into the afternoon. Again, potential for some brighter spells arriving into Northern Ireland later on, but the bulk of England and Wales are likely to hold on to a good amount of cloud as we head throughout much of Sunday. But a touch more warmth here will allow those temperatures to peak around 24 degrees Celsius in the southeast. We'll start to see more on those showers drifting their way southwards, so some further pulses of rain pushing in across England and Wales throughout the evening and overnight. Otherwise, some clear spells developing, and with that northwesterly wind filtering in some fresher conditions, tonight should hopefully be a touch more comfortable for sleeping. Many of us seeing temperatures drop down to 10 to 14 degrees Celsius. Some early rain to contend with then across areas in the south, but that will eventually clear its way off. Some scattered showers just pushing in across North Sea coastal regions and well for the far northwest of Scotland. But for Wales, western areas of England will hopefully see the sunshine breaking in a lot more as we head into the afternoon. It should dry up quite nicely. If you manage to see that sunshine, temperatures not too bad, 20-23 degrees Celsius, but it is still going to be a breezy day out there, and that will certainly affect the feel of things if you're caught in it. The sunshine, though, should turn more widespread for many of us, and temperatures are set to climb. Enjoy your day.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Right. Oh, now we have a very special programme today with Eamon. It's called Sunday with Eamon, and it's live at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Now, following a week of soaring temperatures, we've got the very cool cash prize of £54,321 in our Great British Giveaway. Here's how to try and get it for you.
The Great British Giveaway is now even greater, with your chance to win our biggest cash prize so far. A totally tax-free £54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Imagine what you could do with that. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, still to come, Elon Musk is creating his own brand new political party to rival Donald Trump. Should the president be worried? We'll talk to Greg Swenson from Republicans Overseas UK in just a moment.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Yeah, so I got the news on 4th of April, right in between GB Team Selection Series, which hurt even more because I was leading in the points, but all of a sudden I get a phone call being told you're banned from attending any public UK premises, banned from speaking with your teammates or staff, which was the most brutal part of it, and suspended, or whatever word you want to use.
I think, though, Kurt, that posting subscription-only saucy content online might get you in a little bit of trouble, or did it not cross your mind?
No, for sure. But I want to make it clear that I have tried things in the past. I've been living life on the edge so many years. We moved from Latvia in 2010, been living life on the edge since then, done everything from working freelance long into the long nights, working at the Amazon warehouse. I have seeked out other alternatives, but in December last year, I got to a point, a realization where I thought, is it worth it, or can I find an alternative? And I knew of other GB athletes doing it. I didn't think it was going to cause outrage like this.
Yeah, because I was thinking, a nice chap like you, who's obviously very talented with your sport, you could make some money doing, like online fitness training or personal training and things like that don't involve, getting your kit off.
No, for sure. I've been making content for like 6-7 years now. Over 1,000 of the pieces of content have been inspirational, motivational. I've visited over 30 schools in the UK, going to the hardest parts of the UK, inspiring kids from underprivileged backgrounds to get into sport. I've tried that, but I don't know. I found that in this day and age, unless you are smart or find some little controversial thing you can hold on to, it's going to be hard to get attention and sponsorship.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, Elon Musk is launching a new political party just weeks, of course, after that big falling out with the White House.
The billionaire businessman who puts people in space claimed that he has established the America Party.
Sounds good.
After asking his followers if he should do so. He sort of polled them on X.
Yeah, so what do you make of that? Should we talk to Chairman of Republicans Overseas UK, Greg Swenson? Greg, good morning to you. Will the Donald be quaking in his boots over this or not?
No, I really don't think so. In fact, the president's polling at all-time records with Republicans, so even higher than Reagan after he was shot in 1981. So, I don't think the president needs to worry about this. In fact, this is just part 2 of their spat that started back in early June. And right as that happened, most of the Republicans on the Hill, practically all, were immediately behind the president in terms of that disagreement. So I don't think you should worry about it. Third parties never really work in America. There is always the risk that, like in 1992, that a third party that's conservative could pull votes, like Ross Perot pulled votes away from George H.W. So it's possible that they could have an effect. They'll never win an election. But in fact, Perot didn't win any delegates, although he won, 20% of the votes. So, that could have an effect, but I don't think this one will rival Ross Perot's party. I don't think Elon would get the support from Republicans the way Trump is polling right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very effective businessman, Elon. Yeah. He's built the most remarkable SpaceX and all the rest of it, achieved the most incredible things. But building a party and trying to rival an incumbent president is a very different thing. Because he's such a quirky character, I guess. Yeah. On the other hand, you could say the same about Trump, couldn't you?
Right, that's true, and they're a lot alike in many ways. But I do think that this is just another moment of throwing, his toys out of the pram because he's angry, and he's really conflicted here. I mean, he's arguing on one hand that the big, beautiful bill did not have enough spending cuts, and there wasn't enough of a cut to the deficit, although by most measures, it is the most conservative bill we've seen perhaps since Reagan. But on the other hand, he wants to keep electric vehicle mandates or EV subsidies in the government or in the tax code, and that is just really conflicting with conservative thought. So I don't think he'll get a lot of traction here because most Republicans, both elected officials and voters, don't really support at all electric vehicle subsidies. It's just
They don't support electric cars, full stop,
government
really, do they?
intervention in the markets, and that's not something we're for.
What I find very odd about all of this is just the idea of setting up a party, and when you don't know, I mean, because of the fact he's South African born, has an impact on everything. I mean, could he even be the leader of his own party?
He could be the leader of the party, but he could not run for office, for presidency. He could run for other offices, but he could not be president. But, you know, remember, Elon is really a Californian, even though he lives, officially, I believe he lives in Texas now. But California is like a medieval society right now. I mean, 1% of the Californians pay 50% of the taxes. So it's this odd combination between this elite 1%, the tech people like Elon Musk, the tech moguls, and then the completely government dependent. And it's a really odd combination. They win elections because they have the government dependency, the welfare vote, and then they have the money from these big, powerful tech titans. Now that might change, you know, as some of the tech people like Elon Musk have come over to Republicans, but there is still that medieval society in California.
What about this idea that, and it's been mooted, that he could have an impact with this? I mean, just because there's not a lot of margin for Trump to play for when it comes to Congress, the House and the Senate.
It's absolutely true. I mean, there is that risk. And again, I don't think this party will get traction, but if it does, then that could be a problem because the margins are so tight. And, you know, it's a 50-50 country, so you don't have a lot of room for error in terms of electoral politics.
I mean, the one thing he could do, I guess, as well, is just sort of muster together the tech billionaires, the techie people, the people with money and power, and just be a thorn in the side of President Trump.
Yeah,
try to persuade him to change some of his bill.
It could be the nuisance factor for sure. A lot of tech people have come over to President Trump. I mean,
we saw the inauguration was extraordinary.
Right.
Yeah, Musk wasn't the only one there, was he?
That's right. Plenty of tech moguls have seen the common sense arguments in the Republican Party. They see that Trump is winning, and, you know, this is a common sense revolution. So I think a lot of the tech people who were very much behind the Democrats for years, and this started with Peter Thiel back in 2016, when he came over to the Republicans. So a lot have followed. You have you know, a lot of tech people that are now ambassadors, you know, both in the first term and Trump's second term. So, you know, this isn't the old days where all the tech California people were supporting Democrats. I think they're seeing that, you know, there is this powerful movement. And again, it's a common sense revolution.
Yeah. I just wonder if he's blown it all with it. We were just showing clips there of in the election run-up and straight after the election, and Elon jumping about the stage with Trump. I mean, and it was extraordinary. It was very odd behaviour, and to go from being that sort of wildly ecstatic to now saying I'm going to set up another party to rival you within the space of a few months is clearly very odd, which way you want to look at it.
It is. He's having another tantrum, and it's not a good look. I don't think it will work. But, you know, this is a moment where President Trump could, you know, he'd like to take advantage of Elon. He wants Elon to be in the circle. He had that great Oval Office send-off to Elon Musk. And I think the president would love to have him on board, but not if he's going to throw tantrums and complain about, you know, his $7,500 per vehicle subsidy that's going away. But that's something that Republicans were really annoyed with.
And what of Gaza and what of Ukraine and the fact that Trump hasn't been able to achieve what he really wanted?
Well, those are two exceptions in many ways.
But they're very, very big ones.
Great progress in Gaza, and you saw that with the agreement last week, and I hope that continues. Ukraine was a disappointment in the sense that he wanted it to end quickly. But if you look at the lineup of wins, not only the bill being signed on Friday, but just what he's done with Iran, just what he's done with, you know, creating at least the runway for world peace, and economically at home, everything has been a win. You know, the media left complex or media, you know, the left media complex was, you know, of course, going crazy when he was, you know, announced the tariffs and announced the bill, and the tariffs have actually worked out. The unemployment numbers were much better than expected on Friday. We've seen job growth. We've seen very little to no inflation. Inflation numbers continue to come down. So the American voter is looking at this and saying, we're winning. And if there's a couple of items on the margin, Granted, important ones, that's okay. So I think, look, and by the way, this isn't to undervalue what Elon Musk has done. I think Doge was a great success so far and will continue to be a success. So it's a shame that he's having the tantrum now because he's added a lot of value to the American economy and the government right now.
OK. Greg, as always, it's really good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Fascinating. Almost anything can happen there as well. Yeah. Within 24 hours.
Who knows? Who knows? Keep your eye on X. Right, we're going to have the sport for you in just a moment with Abe.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lionesses Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Right, Aidan's got the sport.
Yep, absolutely. What are we starting with?
Well, look, let's go with the Lionesses first of all. Disappointing start for them in Zurich against France last night. I did think it would be a difficult tournament for them, but nothing's decided on the opening day, although, as I say, wasn't the start that they wanted. No. I think Serena Wiegmann, who we'll hear from in a few moments' time, she was disappointed with just the short passing game, the basics of defending. They didn't get on the score sheet until 3 minutes from the end. And here's the note that she struck after the game last night.
I'm very disappointed. I think we started well. We could have we created a chance in the first minute. Then we scored a goal. I thought it was a pretty good goal too. Unfortunately, disallowed. And I think after that we created. Of course, we know France was really good, but I think we created our own problems a little bit by playing short passes all the time, where they could full press. We were frustrated because, I had a bit too we had such 3 very good weeks, and we trained really well, but that's never a guarantee that, of course, you win the game.
Look, I know she's lost a game, but I just wonder whether that mood...
She's very cool, isn't she?
Yeah, she is, but I just think she also looks, as I say, disappointed. But I wonder if that reflects the camp, because I think that having those two omissions before the tournament, Millie Bright and Mary Earps, retiring so close to the start of the tournament, suggests to me that all wasn't right there. But look, they've got a huge game in Zurich, back in Zurich on Wednesday against Netherlands. And if they get things right that night, things are back on track.
Right.
Let's have a look at the tennis, because Novak Djokovic has had his 100th victory at
And he's
Wimbledon.
in fantastic company as well, because only Roger Federer and Martina Navratilova have achieved that. And as I say, look, it's all about Sinner and Alcaraz so far. Draper's out. But I still wouldn't fancy playing someone as experienced and still on a mission as Djokovic is. He wants that 25th Grand Slam. He wants to make it not 8 successive wins, but 8 wins at Wimbledon to match Federer.
Yeah.
And so he's got so much motivation. He's looking as fit as a fiddle. And he beat his compatriot yesterday, Miomir Kecmanovic. And let's listen to Novak Djokovic yesterday at the press conference at the All England Club.
Kind of like an ecstasy, to be honest. In that moment, I was super happy, and it came at a really important moment as well. I think 4-3 deuce, long point. We both were running around each other around the whole court, and then just that diving backhand volley down the line, passing shot, and it's just can't wait to see the highlight.
Yes, he ought to watch the highlight, because it's got all the graphics on it now, where you can see where the ball's gone and all the rest of it.
Oh, his
Absolutely
accuracy was
brilliant.
just unerring yesterday, especially on his serve. He shows no sign of letting up. And we've got some British interest, of course, today. Sunny Cartal, the smallest player left in the tournament.
5'4" inches tall.
4 inches tall. She's from Brighton. She's gone up the hard way. A little bit of a late bloomer at 23 in tennis terms, but showing some real power at the back of the court. And she's in action.
I wonder how far she can go. She's playing...
Pavlyuchenkova.
Today. I don't know, how is she seeded, do we know?
Pavlyuchenkova, yeah, she's been around for a long time. She's a top 30 player. She's been on the circuit for a while. If you go this far in the tournament, then you're good. You're decent, yeah, exactly. And I think, but we could get Britain to the second week, who knows? Yeah. Cam Norrie as well, don't forget.
Just very quickly, because we're also out of time, it's the Grand Prix, British Grand Prix today. Yeah,
well, look, one thing I didn't mention last hour was that we talked about competition. The top 6 in the qualifying yesterday, they were separated by 0.23 of a second.
Oh, wow.
Ouch.
I mean, we can't say that's processional, can we? There's a fight on our hands.
Wow.
Max Verstappen on pole this afternoon. Rain could affect proceedings, as it could at Edgbaston with the cricket, where England are trying to play out for a draw.
Oh, well.
But what a weekend of sport.
Yes, terrific.
All right, Aidan,
and
thank
good to see you both as well.
And you.
Thank you. Right, we're getting ready to go through the papers with Emma Wolfe and Chris Worrell. First of all, though, where are the European hotspots if you fancy a bit of sunshine?
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The fresh northwesterly winds that are currently across the UK are also beginning to spread into other areas of Western Europe and helping to ease the heat wave that they've had here recently. Still, though, there are plenty of heavy showers and thunderstorms here, particularly across parts of Iberia, the Alps and towards the Balkans. The heat, though, is getting squeezed towards eastern areas of continental Europe, and so here temperatures are still going to be notably above average as we head over the next few days, but with some sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Where Anna Riley, our intrepid reporter, is doing the toughest job in television right now, which is enjoying the sunshine. Anna.
Yes, Tom, it's definitely a tough gig for me today, I'll tell you. I'm on the Bridlington Fun Park ride here. This is the Zero Gravity ride. This fun park is, oh, off we go. This fun park is right next to the sea. Oh, it goes quite quickly, I'll tell you. And people are out enjoying, enjoying rides like this one. Woo, off we go. It's a great boost for tourism, and we've been speaking to people here in Bridlington about what's so great about the sunshine. Let's have a listen.
We're on holiday. We've been here since last Friday, so we can't complain. It's been beautiful, and we're here till Monday, so we're really looking forward to the hot weather. As you can see, the sunburn.
It's lovely. It really is very nice. It's absolutely gorgeous. We deserve it, definitely.
It's good. We like the warm weather.
Yes, very nice. Loving it. Yes, like the
warm enough.
weather.
Woo! Well, this ride is showing no signs of stopping, and neither is the sunshine. We're getting that heat wave at the weekend. Enjoy the weather and enjoy fun rides like this one. Get to Bridlington and get to the fun park. Woo!
Oh my gosh!
Absolute
bravo, Anna Riley. What an incredible piece of television. I hope they let you off at some point.
I thought they'd only do it once or twice. Bless her.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, here we are looking through the newspapers with Emma Wolfe and Chris Worrell. Right, what are we going to start with? Oh, yes, this is an interesting one in the Mail on Sunday, Emma, about cannabis.
Well, is it a surprise? Only a quarter of those charged with cannabis possession are actually... Sorry, caught with cannabis possession are actually charged. We've often talked about how everybody sees open cannabis use, people smoking cannabis.
Smell it everywhere, don't you?
On the streets across the country. It now turns out, out of well over 68,000 people who were found in possession of cannabis, only 17,000 were charged, and they weren't really charged. It doesn't go on any kind of record. There's sometimes a community resolution. Basically, it's a kind of warning. It's a kind of gentle slap on the wrist, don't do it again.
I just don't know, can we put it back in the box at this stage on
I'm in favour of just keeping it soft, because at the end of the day, anything that be high is the crime statistics, and we ain't got the prison places for it. You've got all these other countries sort of legalising it, and I think when you're looking at the damage done, it's not really a lot of people use it for medical use, and they're perfectly fine. What's the point of criminalising
Andy,
a few joints?
I hate to disagree with you, but the difference between cannabis, pot, hash that people used to smoke and skunk nowadays is actually causing serious crimes, causing psychosis. It's causing... this stuff is so potent and so strong.
And it doesn't support the...
Does that make this a good thing, then? At least if people are being arrested and found in possession, we can keep an eye on what sort of stuff they actually are possessing.
I don't know whether they're taking, whether they are taking proper note of that, whether they're looking at the health
might be a bit
side
too much
effects
to
or whatever.
hope for.
I think it's also the lawlessness. I think it's the feeling. Sorry, Anne. I think it's the feeling that people are just smoking it on the streets. It's sort of a breakdown. It's a bit like having, homeless, huge encampments around London.
I do wonder if it's time to legalise it, just because I don't like it, but just in terms of being able to regulate it a bit more.
That's what they're doing in Switzerland with cocaine. It got so pure and the black market was so efficient that they were like, everyone's using it anyway, we might as well just tax it. And, then if you're looking
at... And that's with cocaine.
That's with cocaine, yeah. And if you think where all these other countries are doing it, Canada, Germany, it's the spice stuff, that synthetic stuff that's, messing a lot of people up. But I think when you're sort of... Police need to be focused on real issues, women, gays, that kind of stuff.
Yeah?
Well, yeah.
And not social media. They need to be on the street.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Shall we have a look at the fact that it's the anniversary, of course, of the 7/7 bombings tomorrow? 20 years ago already. Yeah, when it was announced, you were on duty at Sky, and I think we've got a clip of you delivering that first bit of news.
Breaking news we're getting from the PA Newswire that there's been reports of an explosion outside Liverpool Street Station. That, of course, in the East End of London. It's the bordering area. You'll be maybe familiar with the Swiss building known as the Gherkin, which, of course, has been a familiar landmark throughout London for the past sort of couple of years or so. That's very close to Liverpool Street Station. They're getting this reports of an explosion from the British Transport Police.
At that stage, you didn't know that it was terrorism, did you?
No, we didn't. We didn't know until we got the Tavistock bus bombing information through, because then you
really know.
Because we just didn't know if that was an electrical fault or anything at that stage. Hard to believe that was 20 years ago.
I mean, this issue's one was literally close to home. I think a year before the 7/7 bombings, a few doors down from where I lived, convicted terrorists, sleeper cell. They were sent down maybe about a few months before July the 7th. And I remember, the fear that goes on. We knew the family. They're just like, the dad was a mechanic, all that sort of stuff. And then 7/7 happened, and everyone was like, what's going on? And then 3 weeks later, we had Oval. My dad used to work down in Stockwell. And I remember this is the day my dad was a bit like that with the mobile phones, and I was doing my mechanics thing up in Bristol at the time on my 2 weeks away. Couldn't get in touch for 4 hours. And the the fear that leaves you, I think, if people want to get on, it's great they're doing the anniversary. There's the 7/7 Homegrown Terrorism on Sky documentaries. Talks about Thelma, who was London 2012. They just won the Olympics the day before, remember? And then she decided to go in on a day off. And and there's another one on Netflix as well, which is Attack on London, hunting the 7/7 bombers. It goes into a lot of detail.
It's hard to believe that was 20 years ago. I remember that day, and I was...
Where were you? What were you doing?
Well, my office was right by Euston. It was a big publisher right by Euston Road. And they just said, don't try and get into the office, cancel all your meetings, don't go near any train stations, and then Tavistock Square, the bus, right by where I grew up in Camden. It just was so real. And that day, when you went out in London, everybody was walking, thousands of office workers walking home, because no one was going anywhere near the tubes or the buses.
And it was one of the first terrible tragedies that where you were trying to get hold of people on a mobile phone and you couldn't get through. That was the main thing, is that the mobile phone network just collapsed.
Everything went down, exactly.
And that made it very, very terrifying.
And it was sort
if you were
of
trying to
before
contact
social
relatives.
media went mad, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So there wasn't so much speculation, it was more of a vacuum.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's cheer ourselves up just in the last few minutes away from that. And this is in this Mail on Sunday. We've got about 30 seconds, Emma.
Okay.
There is a proof now of what makes you happy.
OK, so micro acts of joy every day. 5-minute micro act of joy. Gazing at flowers, listening to laughter, doing something lovely with a friend. But make sure you build in those 5 minutes of micro joy every single day, and it's good for you. Good for your health.
Micro joy for you, Chris?
Well, I mean, for many, maybe it's smoking a joint, but not for me. But, yeah, spend time with your kids. I've got an 18-month-old daughter.
Oh, yes,
I don't get to
every
spend as
minute.
much time as I like to, but, just watch a bit of TV.
Thing. That's the main thing. All right, you two, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. Good to see you this morning.
Let's find out if we can get any moments of joy from the weather forecast. Here it is.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. It's quite a muggy start out there for this second half of the weekend. A reasonable amount of cloud around as well, all being driven in by this area of low pressure. A few fronts to watch out for, particularly this one we've got our eyes on, could provide some quite intense bursts of rain first thing this morning around the Humber and the Wash. It will tend to break up into more scattered showers as it drifts southeastwards, and some of those could turn thundery with some hail around at times as well, so it's worth taking care across those eastern areas of England. A scattering of showers coming in elsewhere, being brought in by a brisk northwesterly wind, and so it is going to make it feel quite cool out there for some of us, particularly across parts of Scotland where temperatures will be climbing around 15-16 degrees Celsius. But the sunshine should hopefully start breaking through a touch more here into the afternoon. Again, potential for some brighter spells arriving into Northern Ireland later on, but the bulk of England and Wales are likely to hold on to a good amount of cloud as we head throughout much of Sunday. But a touch more warmth here will allow those temperatures to peak around 24 degrees Celsius in the southeast. We'll start to see more on those showers drifting their way southwards, so some further pulses of rain pushing in across England and Wales throughout the evening and overnight. Otherwise, some clear spells developing, and with that northwesterly wind filtering in some fresher conditions, tonight should hopefully be a touch more comfortable for sleeping. Many of us seeing temperatures drop down to 10 to 14 degrees Celsius. Some early rain to contend with then across areas in the south, but that will eventually clear its way off. Some scattered showers just pushing in across North Sea coastal regions and well for the far northwest of Scotland. But for Wales, western areas of England will hopefully see the sunshine breaking in a lot more as we head into the afternoon. It should dry up quite nicely. If you manage to see that sunshine, temperatures not too bad, 20-23 degrees Celsius, but it is still going to be a breezy day out there, and that will certainly affect the feel of things if you're caught in it. The sunshine, though, should turn more widespread for many of us, and temperatures are set to climb. Enjoy your day.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now imagine this. You spend your entire life dreaming of public service. You work your way up to become the Director of Public Prosecutions. You then become a Member of Parliament, and just next to your constituency is a world-famous museum hosting
I'm imagining it, Tom.
waxworks of famous figures, and you dream that one day you will be featured in this mausoleum, for want of a better word. You become Prime Minister and you think, now, finally, my waxwork will be on display at the world-famous Madame Tussauds. And then they say no.
And then you find out that Theresa May has one.
Oh.
Yes, so Madame Tussauds, there's Theresa May. There she is in her suit.
Yeah,
she was always one for colourful outfits.
Theresa May has a waxwork there, so does Boris Johnson, of course. It's reasonable to expect the Prime Minister would have thought that he would join the likes of David Cameron, Theresa May and Boris Johnson with a waxwork.
Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill has one. Harold Macmillan apparently was previously displayed. Tony Blair.
Of course.
Tony Blair, of course. But apparently, so Madame Tussauds can't be sure that he'll still be relevant in 5 years' time. That's the reason.
Is that why they've said it? No.
They can't be sure, so they don't want to put the money into it, presumably.
Wow.
I could imagine Keir Starmer commissioning his own.
And yet, Lord Salisbury had a waxwork, the Marquis of Salisbury, Harold Macmillan and David Lloyd George, of course. But the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland...
Think about this.
...does not have a waxwork because he's not relevant.
A spokesperson told the Metro, "We have no current plans to make a figure of the British Prime Minister."
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. Another blow for Labour.
A year after winning a landslide victory, polling now suggests 72% of the public think that Sir Keir Starmer's government is as chaotic as the previous Conservative one.
Well, the drama over Rachel Reeves and the welfare bill has undermined trust in the Labour Party, and the Prime Minister has his lowest approval rating, according to the latest data.
And a mega poll of 10,000 reveals that if an election were held tomorrow, Nigel Farage's Reform Party would win 290 seats, and some very top cabinet ministers would be out of a job.
So, it's a big question, but is it too late for Labour to turn things around?
Tech tycoon and the world's richest man, Elon Musk, has announced that he's launching a new political party, and that comes weeks after his public rift with President Trump.
Badly wrong. We really don't know at the moment. It's loud bang.
Tomorrow marks 20 years since the 7/7 bombings. We've been reflecting on that throughout the morning.
At least 43 people, including 15 children, are now confirmed dead, with dozens still missing as flash flooding hits Texas.
And would you pay to spend a penny? Or should it be absolutely free? One councillor in North Yorkshire is opposing plans to charge people 40p to use the council-owned public toilets.
There are thunderstorms in the forecast today. They may even affect Wimbledon. Join me later for the full details.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast. Just in case you're feeling a bit hungry,
all right, yes.
In Japan, Burger King have launched what they're calling the Yokozuna burger.
Oh, Yokozuna.
Right? Yeah, it's nearly 2,000 calories just in the burger. It contains 5 beef patties, 4 slices of cheddar cheese, bacon, tomato, lettuce and pickles, and sauces including mayonnaise, mustard and ketchup. And it looks like a mountain.
I don't know how you get that in your mouth.
No, exactly. Surely the joy of a burger is, isn't it? How would you possibly do that?
I don't know, 5 burgers is a lot.
Yeah, that's 5 in 1, I suppose.
Yeah.
We were talking a few minutes ago about micro moments of joy.
Yes.
There's another story here. Well, you can get the micro thingy burger. No, the Yokozuna burger. No, just imagine 3 burgers all on top of each other. Rick Astley.
Oh yes.
Yeah, has explained that he's gone through pretty dismal moments. He's gone through depression and things like that. Didn't really cope with fame very well, but he's now found the one thing that keeps him absolutely going, and he would never give up on, is a 30-minute walk every morning before he does anything else.
Oh, right.
He said he gets up, and whereas other people would immediately check their emails or get something done or whatever, he goes out for a walk for 30 minutes every single morning, and he said that's keeping him sane and happy.
So he's never going to give it up?
Never going to give that up.
He's never going to turn it down?
No. Well, and whatever the next line was.
And desert you. Yeah.
Well, it's nice to know that he's found his micro moments of joy and it's keeping him on track.
I still really like Rick Astley. And it just seems like a nice... I've never met him, never interviewed him. It's someone I would like to meet.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't know why, really. I just think he comes across as like a sort of grounded, nice fella.
He really does.
He was a tea boy in PWL, that was the record company that did all those hits.
What, he
back in the
started
day.
as a tea boy?
He was a tea boy, and for some reason, Pete Waterman or Mike Stock, whoever it was, heard him singing along and just went, "Oh, you've got a voice," and made him a star. That was it.
Oh.
There you go.
Well, he sounds like a jolly nice chap.
He does indeed. Right, well, it's not what you're saying about Keir Starmer.
It's not what anyone's saying about Keir Starmer at the moment.
No, just a year after that landslide victory, the latest polling indicates 72% of us think Sir Keir Starmer's government is as chaotic as the last Conservative one.
Yes, of course, there was the drama surrounding Rachel Reeves and her tears there, as we can see again. She'll never live that down, will she? And the welfare bill. It seems to have resulted in the Prime Minister actually getting his lowest approval rating yet.
Additionally, new polling says that if elections were held tomorrow, a general election, Reform UK would get 290 seats. It's not enough for a majority, an outright majority, but by far they'd be the biggest party, and that would leave a lot of top cabinet ministers out of a job. So, can Labour turn things round?
Well, that's something that's sure that Camilla Tominey in the next programme will be discussing. Let's join her now from Westminster. Hello there. Hi. I mean, yes, wow, what an amazing... Another poll. And poor Keir Starmer, despite Rachel Reeves' tears, he seems to have got the blame for it.
Indeed so. He needs a micro moment of joy, doesn't he? There's other polling in the Mirror as well, which I think is significant because obviously we associate the Sunday Mirror with being the sort of Labour Bible, saying Keir's wake-up call. And again, when asked, are you better or worse off than a year ago? 46% say worse off, just 12% say better. Is Britain under Starmer on the right or wrong track? Only 8% say it's on the right track, 55% say wrong. And I think those scenes in the Commons on Wednesday marked a particular low, didn't they? Not just for the Chancellor, but for the government in general. Still no clarity about exactly what happened before Rachel Reeves went into the House of Commons. Suggestions she may have had a row with Lindsay Hoyle, suggestions denied that she may have had a row with Angela Rayner. I put all this to Bridget Phillipson. I've already recorded that interview. We're going to play it out during the course of the show. The Education Secretary to comment on what is wrong with her colleague, Rachel Reeves, and can she recover? To comment on whether taxes will go up or not in the autumn. Frankly, it seems inevitable. We'll also be speaking to an economist, Gerard Lyons, about that and the picture of the country's economic forecast as we look into that autumn budget. And also, of course, ask her about the VAT on private school fees and other education matters. So that's a good one to come up. Let's see what Mel Stride thinks as well, the Shadow Chancellor. Now, the Tories are suggesting that the way that they would get the welfare bill down is by ensuring that people who are foreign-born cannot claim benefits in the UK. Although I will be asking Mr Stride why on earth the Tories didn't do this while they were in power.
Well, it's a very good point, but also you need clarity on that, don't you? Because if you're foreign-born but a British citizen,
yes,
then where does that leave you?
Yeah, so it's on the front of the Telegraph, and actually it's saying you have to be a British citizen, saying that people are claiming PIP when they don't actually have a British passport.
Oh, wow.
But you look at a story like that and you think, well, how is that allowed to happen under 14 years of the Tories? I know they want to keep on moving us on and saying we're under new management, we're under new leadership, but some of this stuff, if they'd actually considered this when in power, we might not be in this mess. So speaking to them, also going to get our own pollster in, Scarlett Maguire. She's going to crunch some numbers. What is the state of the nation? Because it's interesting that we're now in this 4 to 5 party system. Maybe we just keep the Greens out because they haven't quite got the numbers. But this 4-party system means that Reform should be able to form a majority with just 31.5% of the vote. But on those current numbers that you've just cited, clearly there needs to be some kind of post-electoral pact with someone, and one would assume it would be with the Tories. Again, I'll be asking Mel Stride. He's discounted this. They're all discounting a pact. And I feel like saying, what, even if it means that Keir Starmer will get in for another 4 years? You would cut off your right-wing noses to spite your faces.
Well, yeah, but Nigel Farage has always said that his aim is to destroy the Tory party.
I know, Anne, I get it. But I think lots of people watching and listening to GB News will be thinking to themselves, if it means that Labour will not secure another term in office, not least with the polling being like it is, not least with the Prime Minister's approval rating below that of Gordon Brown, not least after the Chancellor was crying in the Commons, if they cannot put their differences aside for the sake of sort of small c conservatism in this country, then what's the point of any of them?
No, but I guess the issue is they'd never, ever admit that until a result came in with a hung parliament. I mean, who would have foreseen the Lib Dems holding hands with the Tories back in 2010? I mean, it was almost unimaginable.
Absolutely, and I think I'm going to ask Scarlett Maguire that as well. I think we're rather underplaying the threat of the Liberal Democrats. They got 71 seats. Everyone's turning in different directions. So what's happening with Labour and Jeremy Corbyn? By the way, I also asked Bridget Phillipson about whether she's worried about her former comrades' efforts to reform a party with Zara Sultana. So she answers that, and it's quite interesting. But, you know, we're all looking to Labour being split and the left, and then we're looking to the right. You know, can it be united under Farage and Badenoch? Nobody's really looking at the moderate centre ground, and I think the Liberal Democrats still pose a threat. If people are undecided, they will vote yellow, particularly in parts of the southwest. You know, the so-called blue wall is now yellow, isn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose if you take an overview, I mean, in a year's time, I wonder what we will feel about this year. But, I mean, yes, it's mayhem at the moment. It's like a melting pot. Everybody's trying to survive and trying to figure out where to go next. Perhaps give it another year and people will have made their mark and be striding forward, and it'll be much easier picture to view.
I love your optimism, Anne. I think too much damage has been done. I do appreciate it's a marathon, not a sprint, and I don't know why we're all behaving as if there's an election anytime soon. It could be another 4 years. But stuff like the winter fuel and indeed the U-turns that have been performed over grooming gangs, and now this welfare bill that isn't a bill at all, it's just full of nothing. I think that those sorts of things do cut through, and I think people have concluded that the Prime Minister is a really, really, really bad politician.
Can he survive?
There's front benchers saying he's only got 2 months, isn't there?
Well, the Labour Party aren't used to sort of regicide in the form of the Conservatives. Do you know what I mean? They don't depose their leaders. Having said all that, Angela Rayner's the woman to watch now. You know, rumours of a row, which she denies, with Rachel Reeves causing problems. Rumours of her trying to challenge Keir Starmer and his more right-wing advisors, rumours that she is manoeuvring herself slightly towards the Corbyn space to try and pick off disgruntled backbenchers that think that the government is being far too reformist, frankly. They think that he's aping Nigel Farage, which many righties find unbelievable, but that's the perception. Angela Rayner has had a blinding week compared to the Chancellor, let's be honest. So she's the woman to watch right now. Is the Chancellor safe? This is the other question.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they've ruled out resignation rumours. The thing is, if a Prime Minister sacks a Chancellor, then he almost ends up sacking himself. They don't last long if they lose their Chancellors, as we know from history.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting times. Camilla, we'll see you at 9:30. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. You think, where are we going to be in 3 or 4 months' time?
I don't know. She makes an interesting point about the Lib Dems, though. Because they're
quietly getting on with the job, aren't they?
They're getting on with it, and is their level of support just quietly growing unnoticed?
Yeah.
I mean, we won't know till there's a general election. They did very well in the local elections, but they often do. They're a very good party on local issues, very good campaigning on local issues. It's whether what they're standing for will translate on the national table. I don't know.
Never does quite enough in numerical terms. But the climate is different now, isn't it? The environment's different.
And the big thing with reform, of course, I mean, 290 seats in that prediction, is that they haven't got the structure.
No.
They haven't got a proper party structure yet. They haven't got spokespeople on all the key issues. Candidates need to be properly vetted and all the rest of it. I think there could be a lot of defections.
From Tories
and Labour, potentially.
Do you think?
Yeah.
To reform?
To reform, yeah. They're pulling in quite a lot of Labour support in the red wall seats. So I think that it could be a lot of defections, as therefore they will have some experienced people on the books.
We shall see. There's no doubt we shall see. Right, talking of time, it's 20 years today. Oh, no, tomorrow. It's 20 years tomorrow since the 7/7 bombings, a day which changed, well, many cities, not just London, forever.
Well, on the 7th of July 2005, 4 terrorists detonated bombs on the Underground and on a bus, killing 52 and injuring almost 800.
Earlier on, we spoke to the author of a book called 3 Weeks in July, and it's now been made into a documentary series too, filmmaker Adam Wishart.
Yeah, the intention of our book and our TV series that's on iPlayer was to try and put the viewer, the reader, back into that position 20 years ago, to understand what was happening in the state and what was happening to the victims and survivors on the ground, and to try and recapture a moment.
I think most of us will never forget where we were when we heard that news. Stephen, you were actually reading the news that day, weren't you?
I was technically the first person in the world to break the news. Yes, when it all first started. So, I mean, that's something you don't forget.
And I was a distraught mum with 2 boys who I knew were just sort of wandering around London that morning. Adam, where were you?
I was in a house in Kensal Rise, and my then girlfriend was asking me if she should press on to London because all the transport seemed closed. And I was saying, yeah, just go. Your meeting in Tavistock Square will be fine. Don't worry about it.
Tavistock Square.
No, yeah.
That's where the bus went.
And that was the point, wasn't it? I mean, the first 3 detonations were underground. So obviously it was the emergency services and the people there who witnessed that. We ordinary viewers, as it were, didn't see it until the bus happened. And
well, that was the link. That's when you knew there was a level of coordination of an actual attack.
But we saw it. We saw a bus and people being ripped apart in front of our eyes almost. And it's still terrifying to look at it, isn't it, Adam?
Well, yeah, I mean, the first bomb happened at 8:48. There were 3 attacks in the underground. And initially, the London Underground thought that, maybe this was an electrical fault, maybe something weird had happened, who knew? There was lots of miscommunication going on. And so it wasn't really until 9:50 when the bus went off and everybody saw in plain sight that this was definitely a bomb, and this was related to the 3 previous attacks that everybody understood that this was terrorism. But the fear was, the problem for the police was nobody knew if this was, a suicide attack. Nobody knew that. But nobody knew if this was the first of a wave of attacks that was, intended to destabilise Britain.
How do you think? I mean, it's interesting that we've been saying, it's a day that changed London forever. I wonder if that's the case for Londoners or for visitors. It may have changed London forever in the way it's policed, in the way that security services operate. But for ordinary Londoners, I mean, there was a very strong effort to say, we're going to get back on the tube, we're going to get life back to normal.
Well, I mean, Tony Blair was very clear during those days, and the intention of government was, you can't let the terrorists win, and the way to let the terrorists win is to lock down London and, to stop its business carrying on. So, the Londoners in general showed an extraordinary resilience in sort of dusting themselves down and going back to work in the following days, albeit with some fear and worry. But London was up and running pretty quickly. And similarly, in the last 20 years, we carry on in London about our normal business. We get on with it.
And we do get on with it, and quite rightly too. You never let them get the upper hand. Right, should we tell you about money? £54,321 could be yours. Here's how.
The Great British Giveaway is now even greater, with your chance to win our biggest cash prize so far. A totally tax-free £54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Imagine what you could do with that. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, let me tell you about a very special programme today with Eamon Holmes. It's called Sunday with Eamon, and it's live at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Still to come, would you pay to pee or should it be free? Anna Riley's been digging into the issue.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lionesses Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Now, would you pay to spend a penny, or should it be free? Our reporter Anna Riley has been delving into the matter.
Free to pay. That's the campaign of North Yorkshire councillor Keane Duncan. It comes as Malton Town Council plan to install card machines to pay for the public toilets.
There is the old phrase to spend a penny, but here in Malton you'll have to spend 40 pennies to access what I consider to be a basic and fundamental right. There's been a lot of secrecy around the decision. What I think local people need is openness, transparency, genuine consultation. An important decision like this shouldn't be taken behind closed doors. It should be taken with the full involvement of local people. My hope is that the town mayor, that town councillors rethink this decision, reverse their plan, and that it remains free to pay here in Malton.
Shopkeepers along the Shambles don't have their own toilets and rely on the public ones here. One business is outraged and says charging would cost them an extra £20 a week.
Can't we use our own toilets? They've shut this toilet in Wentworth Street. They shut the one in Norton about 2 years ago. What's wrong? Why can't you use a toilet for free?
Malton's known as Yorkshire's food capital. With thousands of tourists every year, the toilets are used by locals and visitors alike. But would they pay 40 pence to pee?
You actually pay enough with your council taxes, you know, all sorts of things like that, to actually pay 40 pence as well. You know, they're trying to bring people to the town and they won't.
I mean, they can charge something, but I think 40 is a bit strong.
Needing the loo and the facilities is fundamental. The fact of being human, and to pay for it just doesn't feel like the right thing to do.
Well, I think it's a bit much, really. I don't think you should be charged to use the toilet.
Yeah, I would pay, because you have to pay, don't you? I mean, if everyone needs to go to a toilet, he needs to go to a toilet, like I do now.
Malton Town Council declined to comment, but there are many here hoping for them to flush the lavatory cost away. Anna Riley, GB News.
Oh, controversial subject it really is.
It is. Talking of controversy, Camilla Tominey is going to be up with all the politics in just a moment.
Here's the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. It is quite a muggy start out there for this second half of the weekend. A reasonable amount of cloud around as well, all being driven in by this area of low pressure. A few fronts to watch out for, particularly this one we've got our eyes on, could provide some quite intense bursts of rain first thing this morning around the Humber and the Wash. It will tend to break up into more scattered showers as it drifts southeastwards, and some of those could turn thundery with some hail around at times as well, so it's worth taking care across those eastern areas of England. A scattering of showers coming in elsewhere, being brought in by a brisk northwesterly wind, and so it is going to make it feel quite cool out there for some of us, particularly across parts of Scotland where temperatures will be climbing around 15-16 degrees Celsius. But the sunshine should hopefully start breaking through a touch more here into the afternoon. Again, potential for some brighter spells arriving into Northern Ireland later on, but the bulk of England and Wales are likely to hold on to a good amount of cloud as we head throughout much of Sunday. But a touch more warmth here will allow those temperatures to peak around 24 degrees Celsius in the southeast. We'll start to see more on those showers drifting their way southwards, so some further pulses of rain pushing in across England and Wales throughout the evening and overnight. Otherwise, some clear spells developing, and with that northwesterly wind filtering in some fresher conditions, tonight should hopefully be a touch more comfortable for sleeping. Many of us seeing temperatures drop down to 10 to 14 degrees Celsius. Some early rain to contend with then across areas in the south, but that will eventually clear its way off. Some scattered showers just pushing in across North Sea coastal regions and well for the far northwest of Scotland. But for Wales, western areas of England will hopefully see the sunshine breaking in a lot more as we head into the afternoon. It should dry up quite nicely. If you manage to see that sunshine, temperatures not too bad, 20-23 degrees Celsius, but it is still going to be a breezy day out there, and that will certainly affect the feel of things if you're caught in it. The sunshine, though, should turn more widespread for many of us, and temperatures are set to climb. Enjoy your day.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney.